Orcs pet by Celeste King. Orc warriors of Prothika.
Hey there, big boy. What are you up to?
Oh, just reliving old memories.
Which ones?
The naughty ones.
And where are you getting those from?
worldsofprothika.com. They have a library of every story we've ever worked on together. And more.
More? Have there been other women? I didn't realize I had some competition.
Competition? Hardly. No one compares to you, sweetheart. There are just a few extra projects I collaborated on back in the day.
Is that so? Well then, how about you show me some of these projects of ours, and we can see who's still number one around here.
Thought you'd never ask. With code YouTube30, I can get a 30% discount. Let me pull up the good stuff.
In the meantime, you're listening to Orcs Pet by Celeste King.
Chapter 1. Akida. The rattle from my mother's chest stings my own as I take a fur and drape it over her slumped shoulders. Though she has always been weak in the body, I've never seen her quite so frail, the cough claiming almost every waking breath and her skin losing so much of its green hue, it looks almost human. You need to eat, I say, pointing to the bowl of steaming stew that I have placed in front of her. The winter will be here before we know it, and you need to muster as much strength as you can to see you through. Just the thought of it makes my stomach turn. If the cold and wet winters of the previous few years are anything to go by, then she will stand little chance of seeing the next spring. I look around at our small cabin, the wood becoming rotten, and the gaps where daylight pokes through getting seemingly bigger by the day. We have to face facts, my son. I'm getting weaker with each moon that passes. The healers will not waste their dwindling magic on me, and my only concern is that you are okay once I am gone. Stop, I say, and the words come out harsher than I mean them to. But hearing her talk this way is too much. Children bury their parents. That is the natural order of things. I just don't want to do it yet. Seeing her suffer in this way both breaks my heart and enrages it. She was a woman of rank, a chieftain's daughter of an enemy tribe, surrendered by them to appease the chieftain of this tribe, my father, Uzziah. Yet neither of us have been paid what we are due by this clan. The Golden Arrow clan is led by my father with his other 3 sons by his side, whereas my mother and I are shunned, made to live on the outskirts of the stronghold, as though we are nothing to him. There is nothing about me that would indicate I am a chieftain's son. I am no different to anyone else. An ordinary soldier leading an ordinary life that is set to become even lonelier if I lose my mother to whatever illness now plagues her. But she is right. There is no way magic will save her. Uzziah would never allow it, and would have the head of any healer that tried. Illness has been a constant companion to her, and I often wonder how she suffered at the hands of my father in the years before I was born. He would doubtless have had any patience or sympathies for her, even if she had bore him a child. Uzziah and my half-brothers are built like machines, and this is how orcs are supposed to be. I'm able to fight, and can hold my own against anyone, orc or human. But I am no Uzziah, and this he has never let me forget. There is no room for weakness within any clan. Orcs have already fled the persecution of the Dark Elves and now face new hardships. A brutal landscape, the dying of the magic. Humans that want to see the end to our kind. Not only do these challenges pose as our greatest threats, but there is also the constant fear of our race dying out due to the lack of orc females and a birth rate that is far from healthy. Though coming here from Prothika through the Great Rift helped save us from the elves, there was a price. That price was our magic and our women. Was it worth it? We are orcs of Prothika, and yet I was born here and know only Earth. When I ask my mother what is, was like she finds it hard to answer. She and her family suffered greatly under the elves. Orcs have a long lifespan, and that means a lot of suffering. Eat, I say. Please, Mother. Do you need me to help you? I'm not quite that useless yet, she says, her eyes narrowing and the corner of her mouth quirking up into a half-smile. I know, I say, kissing her on top of her head. You have never been and never will be useless. She smiles before picking up her spoon and doing her best to swallow the food. stoking up the fire. I wonder how long this can go on for, because it is eating away at me, mind and body, gnawing at my insides like a rat that will tear and gorge until there is nothing left, and I am hollow. Footsteps outside bring me out of my head and back to the room. There is a quick knock, one that I recognize, and the door swings open as my cousin Romaya enters. "Romaya," says my mother, "come sit." "Isa, don't get up. I'm here to look after you, not the other way around." Romaya looks over to me and smiles gently. We are more like siblings than cousins, and she will know how worried I am, as she must be too. "Thank you for coming," I say. "Of course, I am looking forward to spending some time with Isa, where we can discuss who has the biggest ego between Uzziah and your half-brothers, and who has the smallest brain." "That would be quite the competition," I say as my mother laughs, her eyes shining like they used to do. It heartens me to see her this way, and Romaya always knows how to do it. "So you see, there is much to discuss while you are out on patrol and nothing for you to worry about, dear cousin." "You'll make sure she eats and gets enough rest," I say. She raises an eyebrow at me. "Go and do your job, Akita Valen, and let me do mine." "She's right. It will do me good to have the company of my niece," my mother states. I know she is right, of course, but I cannot help but worry. "The fire should be more than adequate, though there is plenty of dry wood stored in the—" "Akida! We'll be fine," Romaya says, walking over to me and resting a hand on my arm. Her eyes are warm if determined, and I am reminded of how grateful I am to have her in my life. She has always been there for me and for my mother, never more so than in these last few weeks when I have had to ask her to help when I am out on my duties. I cannot risk losing my position as a soldier, especially now. Then I would become truly worthless to my father, and I have no intention of imagining what our fates would be if that were the case. "Thank you, Romaya," I say before kneeling before my mother. "I will see you tomorrow, Mother." "Yes, you will," she says. "Be careful out there, my son." "Always." The thought of returning and her not being here comes to me, filling me with that familiar feeling of dread and fear. "I will find you a cure. I promise." She says nothing back, just smiles gently. It's more than I can take, and I stand, collect my things, and make my way outside. It's only when I am at the end of our pathway that I realize I did not even say goodbye. I turn and look back at the house, cradled between the trees. Though the trees have grown over the years, the house has remained small and now almost looks as though it will be swallowed. Inside sit the two people that I care most about in this dark and difficult world, and one of them is dying. I can't let that happen. I won't let that happen. Somehow I will find a cure, even if it kills me.
Chapter 2. Lisa. The sky is heavy again, and all we can do is hope that the rains that caused the recent landslide near our mountain bunker will not return. We are already overrun with the injured, and supplies are running low. As a medic in training to become a doctor, it is my duty to tend to the sick and the wounded. This is more than a job, it's my purpose. I've always known it ever since I was a child. Though life can be tough for women in our bunker, I am at least afforded the opportunity to do what I care about, even though many of the men from this and other settlements would prefer me to become a wife and a mother. This is the price of beauty, I'm told. It becomes the thing that defines you if you let it, especially in times such as these where men are the ones to call the shots. But I am more than a pretty face, and have little time for love or becoming a trophy wife. I aim to save lives. This is why I've studied medicine for years. No man will take that from me, this I can be sure of. Especially not Porter, the leader of the settlement whose eyes seem to constantly wander in my direction. It's my purpose and the reason that I rise each morning, glad to be a part of this settlement. Becoming a doctor is my sole reason for being, but even I am struggling now. The landslide has resulted in a slew of injuries, and we are swamped with patients. Dr. James Lyons, the only fully trained doctor in Bunker 53, is doing his best to supervise my fellow medics, but he is becoming tired and run down, which is never good for a man in his position. He will not trust anyone other than his students to administer treatment. Being a medic is a much sought-after position in the settlement, but not everyone has the talent or the disposition for it, and resources are limited. Though I'm only 24 years old, I am quite advanced in my training. It's a skill that comes naturally to me, and my lack of family and other commitments means I am able to fully commit to my studies and training. At this point in time, it is just as well. People need as much help as they can get. I have only been awake an hour, and already I have treated at least 10 people. Like the others, I have been working tirelessly since the landslide. There are many broken bones to set and flesh wounds to deal with, let alone the traumas of the mind that come with facing death or losing a loved one, and especially a child. Not only are we strapped for human resources, we are now dealing with a shortage of medicines that can help with the traumas that we are seeing. In a situation such as this, it is protocol to use the natural remedies that are readily available in the lands outside of the settlement boundaries. Usually men will be sent out to gather the herbs that are needed, as this can be dangerous. We are not aware of any orcs that are nearby, but there are plenty of animals that can cause damage, and it has been known for men living outside of settlements to scour the woods looking for an easy way to get by. When I walk into the makeshift medical centre, I am greeted by the sight of another queue of the wounded. It's as if this will never end. "Lisa, over here." I recognise the voice as that of Dr. Lyons and follow it to the corner of the room where he sits with a young child whose back is torn from neck to waist. The boy sobs gently, as if he has become used to the pain and realised no amount of crying will comfort him. My heart nearly tears in two. I've been trained to deal with trauma and death, but when it comes to the young, I have a weakness. I always try my best not to show it, but it is there, and it won't seem to budge whatever I do. "Did you get it?" Dr. Lyons asks. "This is the last of it, doctor," I say, showing him the pain relief and antibiotics. His face says it all, yet he doesn't say anything in front of the boy and his mother. He rests a hand lightly on the back of the boy's head. "Lisa will look after you, Tom. She's one of my best and will take good care of you." Inside, I am screaming. I've done my best to avoid treating children, due to the way that it presses at my heart. "Thank you, doctor," says his mother, looking up at him, and then over to me with tears in her eyes. "You don't know what this means to me." "You are welcome. It is my job," he says, taking her hand and enclosing it in his. "I thought I'd lost him," she cries, unable to contain her emotion any longer. I know, he says, tapping her hand gently. "He is safe now. You both are. Lisa will see to it that the wound is cleaned and dressed, and that infection doesn't set in. If you'll excuse me now, I have other patients to see to." "Of course, doctor, and thank you from the bottom of my heart." He smiles and leaves us, and I get to work tending to the young boy. The wound is long and deep, but I am able to clean it well and offer pain relief. The stitching takes some time, and the sobbing deepens. It's okay," his mother says over and over as I work on him. "You are the bravest patient I have had today," I say, trying to build rapport and reassure him, "and probably the most well-behaved. Do you know I treated an elderly man earlier and he swore and threw his stinky socks in my face, all because I had to reset his ankle?" The boy laughs through his tears, and I feel instantly lighter inside. "And you would not believe how bad they smelt," I say. I continue in this way until the worst is over with. Maybe I'm not as bad at this as I thought. When I am done, I leave him to rest a while. He will need to be checked every hour until the end of the day. I find Dr. Lyons nursing a hot cup of tea when I enter the staff area. He looks tired. His grey hair is messy and dark circles grow under his eyes. He must be around 60 years old, but seems to have aged at least a decade recently. I can see the pressure eating away at him. "How is the boy?" "He's doing well. I think he should heal quickly, especially with the antibiotics." His face twists, and I know what he's thinking. You know I can go and gather what is needed if necessary. My training in the herbal remedies is almost complete, and we can treat many of these patients for flesh wounds, pain relief, immunity boosting, and— Yes, I know, he says with agitation, and I don't disagree with you, but it can't be you that goes. I can't risk losing my best medic now. It's quite safe, I say. A part of me thinks the only reason why men collect the herbs is because it gives them access to outside of the bunker. Now that most of them are injured or needed elsewhere, someone else will need to do it, even if it is a woman. Lisa, you are in my charge and I am your superior. I forbid you from going outside, do you hear me? I smile, but inside the revolt is already beginning. I have the utmost respect for him, but I will not be forbidden to do anything by any man. One way or another I am going out there. Chapter 3. Lisa. The outskirts of our settlement are free. No orc clans border us, and we have been able to keep our bunker concealed, tucked into the mountainside. I've heard that many other human bunkers are hidden underground, a thought that makes the breath catch in my lungs. Though we live in the mountain, we have daily access to open air and the surrounding landscape. As I make my way across the settlement borders, I am grateful that this is the case. Just looking out at the canopy of trees is liberating, like I can breathe more fully. It is the time of year when many of them will now turn into a sea of orange, a sight that could warm the cold heart of any human survivor of this world. In the distance, I see the rupture in the mountainside, a wet scar of brown earth that has taken down trees. Logs, branches and boulders litter the ground, and I try not to think of the lives lost and injuries caused by this natural disaster. There is enough to concern ourselves with in this world. The last thing we need is this. Battling orcs and the wild animals that live among us, as well as disease and possible famine, takes up enough of our time and efforts. But the landscape also provides us with things that we are able to use to benefit us, and that's the irony of this world. It gives and it takes away, though a healthy balance has yet to be struck. Making my way down the slope, I get to work collecting the plants I need for the medicines. We are lucky to live in an area where they are abundant, even if the sodden ground may threaten their health. Many of them will help with ailments that constantly plague the settlement. Issues of the stomach, skin conditions, and flesh wounds. Just as importantly, there are many that help boost the immune system, something that I have been working on. Preventative medicine must surely be the way forward now. The water from the rains is draining slowly, filling up the streams and rivers below to levels I've never seen before. Hopefully this will not mean the fish supplies are affected. This is a vital food source that helps feed stomachs as well as providing essential nutrients, one of the reasons why our settlement is a fairly healthy one. With rivers to fish and woodlands to forage in, we are able to sustain ourselves, ensuring that there is a supply of protein that can help keep us strong. In this climate, where the winters can be long and cold, this is crucial. My bags are almost full when I hear something. I still myself, trying to catch what it is. It pays to be vigilant when out here. I hold my breath for a few seconds and realise what I'm hearing is laughter, and it's closer than I feel comfortable with. I gasp when two men, both human, step out from behind one of the large trees up ahead. I don't recognise them, and there's a look on their faces that sends adrenaline shooting through me. My legs instantly want to push me through the forest, as fast as they can, to safety. But I don't make to run just yet. Though my body is telling me to get out of here, I know this is just the adrenaline speaking. Sometimes it is best to wait and not act on the hormonal reactions of the body, and yet everything in me is screaming danger. This world is not kind to women, and since the orc magic negatively affected the birth rate of human males as well as that of orc females, a new dynamic has now arisen. Human women have become prized by orcs as playthings and breeders, meaning that human men now feel the urge to fight and defend this. We're commodities to both humans and orcs, to be used, claimed and bartered with. This does not look likely to change, certainly not within my lifetime. It's a dream that us human women hold in our hearts, hoping that one day things may be different. The men are carrying weapons and saying nothing, their eyes doing the talking as they stare and rake over my body. Stepping back, I stumble, the bag and the herbs falling to the ground. Panic grips me, but instinct brings me back to my feet quickly, and I make sure to pick up the bag that I've dropped. "Can't even stand on your own 2 feet, girl," one of them says, his smile dark and disgusting. "Not to worry, you are best on your back anyway." I was right and should have listened to my body. His words sicken me, and the thought of him and his companion getting their grubby hands on me makes me want to throw up. "You'd better be on your way. My group is nearby and they are armed. They won't take kindly to you sneaking up and threatening one of their medics." I try not to give away my fear in my voice and hope that it has worked. Because underneath my seemingly calm exterior, I am terrified. If I am taken by these men, life will be nothing like it is at the bunker. "A medic, is it? Even better." "I mean it. They'll be here as soon as they hear me scream." I lie. "Well now, that's strange. Because we've been watching you for some time now and seen nobody else in these woods, have we?" He turns to his companion, a younger, tall and rakish man with dark, unkempt hair and a thick layer of grime covering his face. He shakes his head in answer, while his eyes remain on me. My skin crawls and my heart almost bursts from my chest with the ferocity of its beating. "Tell you what, we'll give you a chance here." His voice has become low and menacing, and his eyes are narrowed. "Now run!" The panic in me starts to win. I need to get as far away from these beasts as I can, but now I remain frozen to the spot. Fight, flight, or freeze. I am at the mercy of my body. "One chance. That is all you're getting. Run." My eyes flick to the steep slope that I have no chance of running up. I'm fit and healthy, but the length of the tall one's legs alone would see that I would be caught within a few yards. He's still looking at me as if I am a meal that he wants to devour greedily. The other one stamps his foot forward on the ground and drives his head forward as if shooing me away as one would an animal to scare it. It works, and he laughs as I take off down the slope of the mountainside. My legs almost buckle, but I keep going, slipping and sliding as I do. Above me I hear them whooping and calling, enjoying toying with me. Though they would say otherwise, they are no less savage than the orcs that have taken this world, behaving without any sort of morality and certainly no care for others. They are probably loners, not belonging to any group or settlement, the most dangerous kind. They are a law unto themselves. "Ready or not, here we come," he calls, and a wave of hopelessness crashes over me. I shouldn't have come out here. I should have listened to my superior and stayed at the settlement. But I didn't, and it looks as if I will never get to return. I throw myself down the steep slope as they chase me down. They are the hunters, and I am their prey.
Chapter 4. Akida. There is time to visit the chieftain before my patrol begins, and I make haste to the meeting hall where I know I will find him and my brothers. When I enter there is the usual look of disdain from the orc that bore me, but still I will have my say. "Surely there is something that you should be doing at this hour," he says, hardly looking me in the eye. "I'm just about to start my patrol," I reply. "Then why are you here, boy? Don't you know that you disturb our work?" I look around at the empty tankards and half-eaten plates of bread and meats. It does not seem that much work is happening here, not when it comes to these half-brothers of mine. "I am sorry," I'm about to say, "father," but stop myself. When I have used this term in the past, it has got me nowhere but a slap to the back of the head or a dismissive growl. He is my father through seed only, something which he's more than keen to remind me of if I push the subject with him. "Well," he bellows. Standing tall, I look at the orcs before me, orcs that I should be able to rely on and trust, but this has never been the case. Even so, this is my last stab at finding help for my mother. I come here to ask you once more for some help for my mother. She weakens by the day, and I am sure that she will not survive the... This is not my concern, my father interrupts. Chief Uzziah, I am begging you for anything that you have at your disposal. Yet another reason for my father to hate me. Orcs are proud creatures, yet here I stand begging. Weakness has always been your mother's problem, boy. A problem that she in turn handed down to you. I will not hear of this again. No medical supplies or magic will be wasted on the weak. Let the weak die. That is the price for the shame they bring on us. He really is a heartless bastard. If I had the strength to overcome him, I would stick my axe in his head. Anger surges through me, though I cannot show it. I have never been able to show it. Not to these orcs. My own family. Instead, I swallow it down where it rests in my stomach like a ball of fire. One day that fire will get so big, I think, it will burn me to the ground. I bow my head at my chieftain and turn to walk out of his meeting hall. My brothers jeer at me as I do, the cruelty in their hearts inherited from our father. Their cruel cries dance around me as they have done all of my life. He may be right. I am not as strong as them, and this I may have got from my mother. But I would rather have her heart over any of their might and bulk. I would rather die than be like them. My mind is made up. They can punish as they see fit once I return, but I am going to find help from her one way or another. If this means I have to ask the neighboring clan, then so be it. Marching across the stronghold, I know this is the only way that I can save my mother now, and whatever I need to do, then I will do it. I will get there faster if I take my mount, and so I make my way to the beast shelter where I find him resting. When he sees me, he stands and stretches, his large back arching as he readies himself for use. Hokkeens are our mount of choice, brought here from Protheka through the rift. They have flourished on this planet. Their thick coats and ferocious jaws have allowed them to become good hunters and adapt to the colder climates on Earth. Thick saliva drops from his teeth as he yawns, and then he draws his long tongue across one of his tusks that protrudes from the top of his short, stubby snout. I throw a saddle over him, and then lead him out of the shelter and eventually from the stronghold. Once I'm past the barricade, I climb up into the saddle and spur him on. There is no time to waste. Every day she gets worse. He picks up speed, and still I dig my heels into his strong body until we can go no faster. At this speed, I will be at the neighboring clan in no time. We travel quickly, jumping and dodging the debris of both orcs and humans that litters the landscape. Decaying buildings, rusted metal structures, bones, and carcasses. The forest looms ahead, dense and thick, the hills stretching for more miles than we are aware of. As a clan, we keep ourselves close to the stronghold. We have no need to travel further and risk discovery from clans out there that we don't know about and could not trust. The Crimson Axe clan are different. Though there is usually little love lost between orc clans, we have found a way to exist alongside each other. The bountiful nature of our environment, meaning that food and supplies are relatively secure. Not only this, but have been able to trade with each other when it comes to certain goods and services. Since the dying of the magic, orcs are coming to realize they will need to depend on each other in order to survive and prosper. It is not something that comes easy to our race, but it is a start. Hopefully my request for help will fall upon ears that are eager to help. Though I have nothing to offer them in return at this point, I will be indebted to them. An orc always keeps their promise, and I will do whatever is needed of me, within reason. I follow the now swollen river, which will take me to the midway point before I need to veer off west of the forest. I have never seen the river quite so ferocious, the roar that it makes echoing that of my angry heart. The jeers of my brother still ring in my ears, and the dismissiveness and cruelty of my father still bites at me. I'm ashamed to call them my kin, even though they are the ones that would say this about me. I am so caught up in my angry thoughts and feelings that I don't see the figure at the riverbank until I am almost upon it. But I do not draw my weapon. The body is small and seems to be motionless. Trekking forward, I can now see it is a human female, drenched and unconscious. I draw my mount to a halt to take a look. There is something vulnerable about her, and I feel I should help, but I'm short on time. As I'm about to leave her, my mother's words come to me. Humans are not our enemies. The orcs are the invaders, and know what persecution feels like. The dark elves saw to that. I cannot help but stare at her, my mind racing as it does battle with itself. Stay or go. Help or leave. She is so small compared to me. Her body is but half my size with slender limbs and delicate features. Her wet hair is matted to her face, and I am almost tempted to get down and sweep it away so that I can get a better look. I have little experience of humans, especially females, and am intrigued by her. When she stirs, I am almost at a loss what to do. She is not dead, at least. Maybe I could just leave her here to find her own way back to wherever she came from. But suddenly her eyes open and she looks back at me. That is when I know I have no choice but to help her. Chapter 5. Akita. Please, my people need me. Her voice is soft and pleading. She thinks I am going to do her harm. Of course she does. I'm an orc and she's a human female. What else would she think? Don't hurt me, they need my help. Her words trail off and her eyes flicker until they close, and she slips into unconsciousness again. Her body is still and looks almost lifeless, but I'm quite satisfied that there is life in it yet. I would expect her to feel fear in my presence, but I'm not sure what she meant by the other words. Is she a leader of some kind? Why would her people need her? There is no way I can leave her now. It would make me as heartless and cruel as my father. Though the battle inside me rages as I am desperate to get help for my mother, I also know she would want me to assist this woman if I'm able to. I step down from my mount and crouch at her side now, taking the opportunity to swipe her hair from her face. I take in her delicate features and her full lips that have lost their color and are becoming blue. She is so small, and when I lift her, it hardly feels as if I am carrying anything at all. She remains unconscious as I place her over the Hokeen and climb back up alongside her. This is the last thing that I need right now, but I must do as I'm called to do. Gently I lift and turn her and place her before me in the saddle, her back against my abdomen. Her neck is loose, but I manage to find a way to hold it still against the inside of my arm so that she is in a more comfortable position. She feels cold against me, and I reason that my body heat will be good for her. It still amazes me how small she is against me. An orc woman would almost match me in size, yet this human female barely reaches my chest. I have no idea what I can do with her, and I'm anxious to get to the Crimson Axe clan for assistance. I can't risk taking her there, and there is no way I would return to my stronghold with her for my father and brothers to fight over. I rack my mind thinking of the best option, the one that would serve both of us. I remember there's a cave that I passed earlier. These are landmarks that I always make a point of learning as they can always come in useful. Never did I imagine taking care of a human woman would figure in those considerations. I will take her there and see to it that she is well before I continue my journey. She has got this far on her own. It is likely that she will be able to find her way home or wherever she is intending to go. She slumps against me on the mount, but I manage to hold her close so that she does not fall or hurt her neck. She smells of the water and of the mountains, fresh and fragrant. Her skin is pale and her body so delicate, I fear I may break it just by being so close to her. The cave is only a short ride away, and once we get there, I carry her inside and lay her on the ground. The space is small and shallow and barely takes my height, but this is good as it will heat fast. She is so cold to the touch. I am no healer, but I know that being the cold and wet cannot be good for her. Once I've made her as comfortable as I can, I go outside to find what I need to make a small fire. The ground outside is still fairly damp, but I manage to source some wood that is dry. The cave is small and the fire will need to be, so I'm not in need of a large amount of fuel. My aim is to warm the woman, help her dry off, and then be on my way. I set to work, quickly making the fire and keeping a watchful eye on the human. She is so still it is almost unnerving. As an orc, I am not used to it. We are a race that makes itself heard even when sleeping. I sit for longer than expected, watching as she rests. Her breathing is soft and deep, which reassures me, her small chest rising and falling gently. But she does not wake. The fire is small yet strong, and warms the small space nicely, though. In those wet clothes, I doubt she will recover quickly, and they could even make her worse. As much as I know that she needs to be relieved of them, I cannot bring myself to do it. What was she even doing in the river? She must have fallen or jumped in and been carried by the strong current. The swell of the river is so huge, it is a wonder that she survived. Whatever or whoever she was running from, if indeed this is the case, then they must be upstream. Her stillness wanes as she begins to tremble despite the fire's warmth, and I know I need to strip the wet garments from her ailing body. From taking care of my mother, I know that the dampness will cause her to become ill, and humans are weak in the body. I go out to the mount and take the furs from across its back. I will warm her and preserve her dignity as much as is possible. I'd hoped it would not come to this and that she would wake and recover quickly, but I am forgetting she is but a human and is even more frail than my mother. Standing at the mouth of the cave, I heave out a breath and go over to her. Reluctantly, I begin to peel the clothes from her body. It gives me no pleasure to do such a thing. Orcs are seen as violators of human women, and this is the last thing that I am. But I am used to caring for another, though not one as small and fragile as her. Underneath her clothes, her skin is soft and pale. It makes me uncomfortable to be so intimate with her, but unless she is free of the wet clothes, a fever will surely set in. Looking at her delicate body it is doubtful she could withstand such an illness. When I am down to her final layers, I place the furs over her and blindly remove anything else I can find under them. Once I am done, I use the cloth from my waist to dry the last of the dampness, first her arms and then her legs. It is a practice that I am used to, having cared for my mother many times over many years. Moving the fur to the side, I draw the cloth over her stomach, and as I do, she stirs. It sends both a feeling of relief and a sudden wave of panic through me as I tend to her naked body. Slowly, her eyes open until they are wide with horror. Her screams are muffled, eaten by the cold, hard stone of the cave. Her arms and legs flail and a foot catches me in the face. I stumble backwards, shocked by the quick, sharp movement and wondering how a body so small can be so strong. Maybe I was wrong about her. Perhaps she is not as weak as I thought. I wipe the small trickle of blood that makes its way from my mouth. Who on earth is this woman?
Chapter 6. Lisa. The sting in my ankle is nothing compared to the fear that racks my body. I have no idea where I am. The space feels warm and dark, though there is a faint glow, and my skin feels naked and remembers a hand being traced across it. Drawing myself up to my elbows, I see daylight ahead of me, and I look up at the large man that I have just kicked. My vision is blurred, and all I can make out is his silhouette once he has pulled himself back up to his feet. He is huge, standing almost 7 feet tall at least, though my eyes are too blurry to see anything other than his large form. Who is he? Where am I? The last thing I remember is falling down the mountainside as I ran for my life. Then the sting of cold water in my lungs as I slipped into the swollen, icy river. The thought that the men who chased me down have finally caught me fills me with dread. Could he be the tall one that had obviously wanted to get his hands on me? He seems much larger, but I can't trust my eyesight at the moment. My hands roam the ground for anything I can get to, and luckily my right hand finds a rock. I get to my feet and hurl it at him. I'm a good shot, it seems, as the rock smashes into his head, a deep but short groan escaping from him. Reaching down, I find another and run towards him, desperate to find his head again with the stone in my hand. If I'm to die, then I will go down fighting. If he wants my body, then he will not take it alive. But he is quicker than me this time, and grabs my hand, pinning me against the wall of what seems to be a cave. The stone nips at my back, my skin bare, though I feel he isn't being as forceful as he could be with me. There is nothing I can do. His strength is immense, his form so huge he could snap me in two if he so wished. I look back at him, and now that my eyes have had a chance to clear and adjust to my environment, my stomach drops to the floor. An orc. The look on his face is one of sheer anger and astonishment as he licks the blood from the corner of his mouth. Blood that I have drawn. My instincts might just get me killed one of these days. No orc will tolerate being kicked in the face, especially by a human woman. Panic grips me. I would have been better staying in the woods with the human men than ending up here, with an orc. He is probably holding me here to have his way with me before taking me back to his stronghold or using me to barter with. He towers over me, his presence overwhelming. I can make out the whites of his eyes that are wide and angry, and the bulk of his body that is hard and well-formed. "What are you doing?" He growls. His voice is low and deep, and his hot breath hits my face. "I saved your life." Saved my life? Am I expected to believe that? I have never heard of an orc that saves lives, and certainly not a human one. Though it's not as if he has to lie to me. I am the one at his mercy right now. "Is that what you call it?" I cry. "Who are you? And where are my clothes?" "I removed them," he says, making my stomach sink further. "Yes, I'd guessed that." I spit. "It was necessary," he says, as though this excuses his actions. "Necessary for what? Are you some kind of pervert?" I scream. All of a sudden I am filled with disgust about the plans he may have had for me. It was bad enough dealing with the men from the mountainside, but now an orc. Taking the clothes from a woman when she is not conscious. Is this really the orc way? Not that it should surprise me. "Your clothes were soaked through and would have led to a fever. I was attempting to help you before it set in," he says through gritted teeth. "I have no need for a human woman and could have just left you to die at the bank of the river." I remember the river and the icy cold and the blackness that took me. I remember being tossed about by the angry current and struggling to keep my head above water. There are no orcs for miles as far as we know. I must have travelled a long way downstream. "And why would you do that?" I ask with less ferocity. I'm having a hard time believing him, yet if he is telling the truth, then he must have saved me for a reason, and not one that will benefit me. "Right now I have no idea. Your clothes are warming by the fire and should be dry by now." He still speaks as though he is angry, and it presses at the fear that is now rising in me. I'm suddenly even more aware of my vulnerability in this situation. I have injured an orc and now insulted him as well. This may not end well for me. Orcs are not good to human women. We are all aware of that. In fact, orcs are not good to anyone or anything. All of the fight drains from me and is overtaken by fear and hopelessness. I should have listened to Dr. Lyons. Instead, I chose to do as I thought best, encountering men that have driven me from the settlement, and now an orc who will surely end me or claim me and take me to his stronghold. Nothing good will come from that. But the thing that hurts the most is that the doctor was right. I am one of the best, if not the best, medic, and in just a matter of months I will be fully trained. He can't afford to lose me now, especially when such pressure has been placed upon him and his services. It was always my plan to help save lives. Now I've endangered mine, and with it I will take all of the knowledge, skills and experience that I have gained over the years. It shouldn't be like this. I should be able to roam the land as I see fit. I should not be at the mercy of men, human or orc. The unfairness of this world comes crashing down upon me. To live in fear is not to live at all. For too long I have been grateful for the small mercies that my life in the bunker has afforded me, when all along I've been raging inside, desperate to escape the clutches of a culture and a world that will tell me what I can and can't do, who I can and can't be. I would have been a good doctor and a good teacher for the next generation of medics. I could have saved hundreds of lives, not now, Now I am naked in a cave with an orc who looks back at me with fury in his eyes. Once again I am at the mercy of a male. I should be used to by now. I am used to it. But never has it seemed so unfair. Whatever will come of me is not my choice. Has it ever been? There's nothing I can do to fight this creature. I try not to give in to the fear, but can't help it. I have seen plenty of pain, suffering and death over the years and become used to dealing with it. Now it seems it is my turn.
Chapter 7. Akita. I can sense the fear in her, and it does not sit well with me. Though I am still angry at the way she has reacted to me, I should at least try to understand why she is so scared. But her words have wounded me more than any physical assault she can land on me. Orcs have a bad reputation when it comes to human women, and this is no surprise. There are those in my own clan who have behaved in ways that have made me ashamed to be of the same species as them. But I am not one of them. I release my grip on her slender arms. I saved you, I say. I found you unconscious at the riverbank as I was journeying and stopped to assist you. Hopefully my words will help assuage some of her fears. Her face softens and her breathing becomes less shallow. This is all that happened. Your clothes were removed for your own well-being. You were cold and starting to tremble. But I covered you with my furs to protect your dignity and warm you further. She becomes silent, listening to what I'm telling her, and hopefully trying to make sense of this situation in her own mind. She has not been harmed, and she is now warm and conscious. As we stare into each other's eyes, I feel the trickle of warm liquid as it drips down my face. How on earth did she manage to cause such damage to me? I release her from my grip as she stares at me wide-eyed. I step across to the furs that are now strewn across the cave floor and pick one up, throwing it to her so that she can cover herself. Then I take the cloth that I was using to dry her with and use it to stem the flow of blood from my head. She is no frail thing, it would seem, and can see to herself from here. This is now my opportunity to leave and do what I need in order to help my mother. It is not my obligation to see her safe return to wherever she came from. I have done my best, even if it has been thrown back in my face, and my mother needs me more. Collecting my things, I leave the cave and prepare to carry on with my journey. I've never been more glad to climb atop my Hokin, and cannot wait to get far from this place. I close my eyes and take in a deep breath, my head raised to the sky before heaving it out again. Before I have even opened my eyes, I feel a small tug at my leg. When I look down, I see it is her. She is dressed, her long golden hair trailing over her petite shoulders and her face softer than before. Now that my anger is abating, I see how truly beautiful she is. Her eyes are the color of amber, her eyes are large and beautifully shaped, and her cheekbones are high, sharp, and pronounced. "Please let me tend to your wound before you leave," she says softly. "At least, let me express my thanks." I'm both shocked and pleased. She has certainly had a change of heart, and must have chosen to believe that what I have told her is the truth. All she would have found in that cave was a fire to warm her clothes drying next to it, and some furs for discretion and comfort. "Then I trust you believe me," I say, looking down at her. The Hokin turns to her and takes a deep inhale of her scent. She bristles, having probably never seen one before, or at least been so close to one. "It's okay," I assure her. "He won't harm you. He is just getting your scent. He was the one that brought you here after all." Tentatively, she reaches out and presses a hand gently to the beast's fur. I've never seen such a creature. I've known people who have, but I've never seen one for myself. They are surprisingly gentle creatures, even though they look ferocious. "I believe you," she says, stroking the Hokin. "I am sorry for the way that I reacted. I was just so—" "There is no need to explain. You woke up almost naked with an orc at your side, I understand. Still, I did not mean to wound you as I have. I am usually the person that is tending to wounds, not inflicting them." "You know how to take care of wounds?" I ask. I have heard that humans are well versed in such treatments. As orcs, we have relied on magic to treat illness and injury, whereas humans have had to figure these things out for themselves. Now that the magic is dying, we will need to do this as well. She nods. I'm a medic and will be a doctor soon. A doctor? I've never heard the word before. A doctor is someone who tends to the sick and helps prevent people from getting sick. It takes a long time to train and to learn everything possible to treat people safely, but it is worth the time and the commitment. I can see it is something that she is passionate about, and this piques my interest. She must hold considerable knowledge of how to heal people. This must be what she meant about her people needing her when I came upon her at the riverbank. I have heard of healers within the human settlements, but know little about them. You have used magic. This is what I have heard? Yes, but that is not always possible, I say, not wanting to let this human know that our magic is dying. She seems harmless enough, even if she has left a gaping wound in my head, but I cannot spill our secrets to her. Please let me take a look at you. Then I will be on my way and you can go about your business. I've taken you away from it for long enough as it is, I'm guessing. She smiles up at me now, her amber eyes warm and caring. I can see that there is indeed a compassionate and caring side to this woman. It is a minor flesh wound, I say. I am used to much worse than this, though I am surprised to have sustained it from a human. I try not to look aggrieved and even manage a small smile. Her face flushes with color, and she averts her eyes from me and looks to the ground. It is no issue, though I will not be making it common knowledge when I return to my clan, I joke. Once again, I'm sorry, she says, looking back up at me and smiling. I know it's only a small wound, but it's the least that I can do. I owe you my life after all. I was raised to help those in need and to believe that humans are not our enemy. That does not sound like the upbringing of an orc. Orc warriors are... She trails off, not wanting to offend me further. I was not raised by a warrior. I was raised by my mother. It was her voice that I heard when I saw you at the bank of the river. Then I am indebted to her also, she says. With my mother fresh in my mind, I cannot help but think it may have been a good thing to have stumbled across this woman today. Looking down at her, I say, if you want to help me, then come with me to help treat someone. It is the only way that you could truly thank me.
Chapter 8. Lisa. I believe that he has helped me so far. My clothes are dry, and I feel surprisingly well even after everything I've just been through. But his request still surprises me. He could make me go with him, yet this doesn't seem to be his way. For an orc to ask for help from a human, things must be bad. The thought of going with him isn't something that feels comfortable, but he seems to need help and I owe him after all. His intentions don't seem anything other than honourable, which isn't something I never thought I would think about an orc. Who is it that needs help? I ask. His silence is very telling. Whoever it is, they are important to him. He steps down from his beast, and once again I find him towering over me, but this time I don't feel afraid, though I'm still struck by the size of him. My mother, he says eventually. She has always suffered with her health, but this time I fear she will not make it through the coming weeks, let alone the winter that is ahead of us. I feel his sorrow and desperation, and it tugs at my heart. I've seen many people lose those that they love, and it's always the ones left behind that suffer the most. I belong with the Golden Arrow clan. I was travelling to the Crimson Axe clan to seek assistance for her when I came across you. Suddenly guilt tears at me. He stopped to save me, driven by the words of his mother who is ill and possibly dying. I wonder why his own clan are not able to heal her, but choose not to ask. There's no point in stirring things up, and who knows what goes on inside an orc clan. I want to help him, but I also know that my settlement needs me. There is so much to do back there, and James is relying on me, though I know at this point he will be more concerned about my whereabouts and my safety than the herbs I was collecting without his permission. But there's something about this orc, about the kindness that emanates from him, and gentleness in his grey eyes. He's tall, and covered in a thick armour of muscle that is housed under leathery apple-green skin. Short but thick tusks grow from his bottom jaw, making him look fiercer than his nature suggests. I don't even know your name, I say. I am Akida Valon of the Golden Arrow clan, he replies in his low, deep voice. And I'm Lisa Shears. I'm from a bunker upstream. How did you end up in the water? He asks. I was out collecting herbs in the lands just outside the bunker border when I was accosted by some men from outside of our settlement. Their faces appear in my mind, and I feel glad now that I ended up in the river. Human men? Yes, human men. His eyes narrow. What did they want? I look back at him and try not to become angry as I think of them. What do you think they wanted? He grunts. No wonder you reacted in such a way to me. Instinct, I reply. As a woman in a world like this, it becomes second nature. I am sorry, he says, and I feel as though there is weight beneath his words, as if he is truly sorry to know of the circumstances that women find themselves in. Anyway, I managed to escape them, but the river at the bottom of the mountain was so swollen and the banks so slippery I ended up slipping in because I was moving so fast. Do you know how far away from your settlement you have travelled? He asks. Not too far, I don't think, I say, not wanting to give the secret of the bunker up to him just yet. In truth, I can see the mountain where we live in the distance. It would be a long trek for me, but it's comforting to be able to see it. You say you were collecting herbs? Yes, we use them as remedies. For centuries, herbs and plants were studied for their medicinal properties. We're able to use them for many illnesses and injuries. It's surprising what nature provides us with. This is good to know, he says. You must be very skilled at what you do. I want to help you, I really do, but my people also need me. There's been a landslide near our settlement, and there are many that have been killed and injured. I am very sorry to hear that, he says, and I believe him. The silence that grows between us is thick with questions and expectation. There's no doubt in my mind now about his nature. Yes, he is an orc, but he has behaved more gently and more compassionately than any man I have ever known, save for James. He obviously cares deeply for his mother, and the fact that he stopped to help me shows me what type of person he is. Not only that, but it was his mother that has instilled such values and compassion in him. She needs help also, and I may be able to provide it. I'm almost torn in two over what I should do. There are many at the bunker who need the medicines that the herbs I was collecting can make. Meanwhile, the woman who by default has saved me needs treatment also. Taking a few moments to think things over, I eventually come to a decision. Hopefully he will agree and everyone will get what they need. What if you come back to my bunker with me? I'll return to let them know that I'm alive and well. I'll also need to collect some more herbs on the way back to replace those that I lost when I fell into the river. Looking up at him, I see he is confused. He looks back at me with that look of astonishment again, and I hope I haven't said the wrong thing. I've caused him enough inconvenience and offence. You trust me to visit your human settlement? What if I were to harm them? Now I see where his confusion lies. He is surprised that I trust him with the location of the bunker. There are probably few times he has been invited back to a human settlement, if any. I trust my instincts, Akida, even if they do get the better of me sometimes. There's goodness in you. I can see it. I trust you. His face softens and he places his hand over his heart and gives me a small nod. In that case, I agree to your proposal. Then we have an agreement. I'll need to collect the herbs that I lost along the way, but it shouldn't take long. I know how and where to find them. They will be desperate for them by now, and I don't want to return without them. Of course, I would be glad to assist and to learn more of these plants. And I would be glad to show you, I reply. He helps me up onto the back of the beast. The saddle that rests across its huge back is surprisingly comfortable, though the width strains my legs. When he climbs up behind me, I gasp. He is hot and hulking, his body warming mine instantly. My heart races inside my chest. What the hell is wrong with me? Why am I having this reaction to him, an orc? Is it because he has saved me today? I am the one used to doing the saving and not used to being on the receiving end of such care and attention. Not all orcs are monsters, it seems. Because the one I am sat in front of right now feels nothing other than good, in more ways than one.
Chapter 9. Akita. I cannot quite believe I am traveling with a human female to a human bunker. The events of the day swirl around my mind, my head still sore from the injuries I sustained at her hands back at the cave. But that seems an eon away now as she sits with me on the Hokin. Her small frame rests against me, and there is comfort in feeling her there. All fears she had of me seem to have disappeared, and I wonder if she's always so amenable. After all, she has only known me for the shortest of times, and she's not only traveling with me but taking me back to her settlement. I have no intention of causing any harm, but what if I were different? I am reminded of the reason why I met her, of the human men that chased her down, and something tightens in my guts. You have never ventured out here before? I ask as we follow the river back upstream. No, never, she says, looking around. And yet now you return to your settlement with an orc. She is silent for a moment, though I can sense she is deep in thought. You say you trust your instincts, but surely it would be wise to trust no one, especially orcs. Are you trying to tell me something? She asks. Just that not all orcs can be trusted. I'm not trusting all orcs. I'm trusting you, but thank you for the advice. There is nothing I can say to that. She has put me in my place. Still, I cannot help but smile a little behind her back. She is intriguing to me, despite our first encounter in the cave. Do you have any idea how much further upstream we will need to go? She points up to the range of hills in the distance. We are heading up there, she says. I look up, assessing the distance and elevation. It makes sense that humans would choose such a spot to settle and hide. Once the river has taken us as far as we can go, we make the journey up the mountainside. It is harder than I had imagined, the dense forest with its tightly packed trees proving hard for the Hokin to squeeze through with its large body. Maybe we should leave him here to rest and walk the rest of the way, she says. It's steep, but there are trails that we can use, so I've heard. The thought of leaving my mount here makes me uneasy. He could be stolen or set upon, leaving me stranded miles away from the stronghold, and I would hate to see him hurt in any way. We'll go as far as we can, I say, hoping that he will get us as close as possible to the bunker. We continue up the slope, picking endlessly through the trees and undergrowth. I can feel the Hokan becoming frustrated and wonder if we have gone far enough. Maybe it is time for us to continue alone, I say. You are probably right. Poor thing, he is not made for the forest. He is not, I agree, but I am concerned about leaving him unattended. I draw him to a stop and press her gently forward as I dismount before helping her down. She hisses through her teeth as her feet hit the floor. Are you okay? Yes. I'm just not used to sitting in that position for so long and just a little sore. She stretches her legs out and I avert my eyes, taking the opportunity to look around for a safe place to leave the beast. I decide not to tie him just in case he is set upon. I would prefer for him to be free to fight or escape if need be. Instead, I lead him to an area of undergrowth that should shelter him from view if someone were to come this way. Covering him over with branches, I tell him to remain here and wait, ready for our return. He yawns and settles into his resting place. I can collect the herbs on the way back up to the bunker, Lisa says from behind me. This is exactly the type of area where many of them grow. As we make our way up to the bunker, she forages for what she needs, explaining what she is taking and why. It is too much to take in, but I begin to learn what to find and where. When the trees start to clear, she tells me we are close, and not much further up. I see a well-disguised bunker covered by trees. A small tunnel entrance is visible, and there are people coming and going. My heart thumps in my chest as we approach, wondering what type of reception I will receive. I do not expect it to be a good one, far from it, but have to trust that she will speak of my intentions. Some of the people stop and gape, while others shout as we get closer. Lisa leads me to the tunnel's entrance, and we are stopped from entering by two men who angrily chastise her for bringing an orc to their bunker. "He can be trusted," she insists. "He's an orc," is the only response that she gets before they point their weapons at me. I've never seen the glass-like blades that they threaten me with before, but I know of them. Constructed of hard minerals natural to this planet that can slice through orc skin like a machete through a hog. "Please, at least take these and make sure that Dr. James Lyons gets them for his medical supplies," she begs, her frustration starting to show when they refuse. She throws her head back in desperation when another man emerges from the tunnel. From the way the others react to him, I assume he is their leader. He is tall with dark hair and equally dark eyes that are small and penetrating like a bird's, and he narrows them at Lisa. "I can't believe you would bring an orc here," he spits, "after everything we have done to keep this bunker secure." "I can assure you I mean you no harm and will tell no one of your location," I try to explain. "I do not want or need to hear you speak, orc. Now leave here before we are forced to use these weapons on the pair of you." "Porter, please," she cries, "and take her with you. She is now exiled from this bunker and will never return." "What? You can't mean that. We can help." "You can help by leaving and never coming back," he says before turning and re-entering the tunnel. No. "Come," I say, leading her away. "We need to go." "But this is my home." "Not anymore," says one of the men, the weapons getting closer to us, driving us back down the slope. "We are leaving," I snap, pulling at her arm. There is nothing that can be done here now. Reluctantly, she relents, and we move away from the tunnel, past the people who are now shouting and jeering at us. "I'm sorry," I say to her, as we make our way back down the hillside. "It's not your fault," she says through her tears. "I will treat your mother as promised, and then I will come back and ask to be forgiven." The guilt bites at me, but I cannot help but admire her courage. Let's get back to the Hokkien and think about it, how we can resolve this. We find the beast safe and sleeping. He looks so peaceful it is almost a shame to wake him, but we must be on our way. I decide it is best for us all to walk down the mountainside until we reach land that is less elevated and populated with trees, which we do, silently. The rush of the river below tells me we are close as make our descent, and I will be glad to be on our way, even if I am not quite sure where we go from here. We ride for miles, saying nothing, until Lisa finally breaks the silence. "So, tell me what is wrong with your mother."
Chapter 10. Lisa. The rush of the river has become a constant in my ears, but it is soothing even though it almost killed me. My head throbs and my body aches. We have travelled for miles, and I am going to have to admit to Akida that I can take no more and need to rest. The stars have gathered above us, making this the clearest night for weeks, though that means it will be a cold one. Already I can feel the chill nipping at my skin, and I lean back further into the large form behind me both for warmth and rest. "Are you okay?" he asks. If I'm honest, I am tired and don't think I can travel much further today. "Then we will rest for the night," he replies pragmatically. "I'm sorry," I say, embarrassed by my human weakness. "There is nothing to be sorry for," he assures me. "It has been a tiring and eventful time." That is one way to describe it. "Are you sure you are well?" he asks, as if worried. "I will be once I am rested." I hope I am right, but my body aches from head to toe, and a chill is starting to set in again. I'm not sure how long I was in the water for, but now that all of the adrenaline has worn off, I am exhausted and feel weak. We have not come across anyone since we have been travelling today. I am quite sure we will be safe enough if we rest here for the night. I say nothing, somehow knowing that I can trust him to make the right decision for us. We come to a stop, and he gets down before helping me to dismount. The Hokkien is glad for the rest and immediately lowers itself to the ground, stretching out before curling into a ball as a cat or a dog would do. I smile at the strange creature and run my hand along its back. Akida takes the fur from the saddle and lays it on the ground. Here, rest while I prepare somewhere for us to shelter. If I was feeling better, I would protest and help him. But tiredness has me in its grip and I can barely move, so I do as he says and am grateful for the rest. He disappears behind me, and I can hear the snapping of branches and the rustle of leaves. I look up at the sky, lost in the stars and my thoughts, as I begin to process what has happened to me today. My stomach growls and muscles ache, and I would like nothing more than to be tucked up in my bed back at the bunker. Now I wonder if I will ever see the place again. It is all I have ever known, and I feel as if I've been tossed out into the unknown. Come, he says, and I have no idea how long he has been back there. He helps me to my feet and leads me just a few yards into the brush, where he has constructed a makeshift shelter out of branches and leaves. I tuck myself into the recess, while he starts to light a fire close by. It doesn't take him long, and I'm more than grateful for the heat it provides. He waits for it grow, sitting silently across from me. The flames dance across his face, softening his features while he stares into them. He is not loud and brash as I would have expected from an orc. Instead, he is silent and observant, and I wonder what goes on inside that head and that heart. I imagine there to be a lot of worry about his mother. After a while he stands and picks up his bow and arrow. "Where are you going?" I ask. "We need to eat," he says. "There is a small break in the river ahead. I'll collect some fish." "But it's pitch black. How will you see?" "The moon is full. It is more than adequate for my eyes, and I am a golden arrow after all. I never miss." I think I see the smallest hint of a smile on his lips, and it warms me. He is always so serious and pragmatic. "Then I'll help." "There's no need, truly." "Even so, I am coming with you." "Very well," he says, helping me to my feet. Watching him work with a bow is mesmerizing. His eyesight is obviously much more adept than mine, though he is right about the moon that casts a silvery glow across the open space of the river. At the water's edge, I struggle to collect the fish that he has speared with his arrows, but I manage, determined to show that I am no useless human out here away from my bunker, and that I am a quick learner. When we get back to the shelter, we quickly gut and spear the fish on branches, roasting them over the open fire. The smell is divine, and my stomach can't wait to welcome the food. With some rest, warmth and food in my belly, I am feeling stronger and am eager to talk with him about his mother and her illness. From what he has said previously, I am pretty sure that she is suffering from tuberculosis, though being an orc, I can't be certain until I examine her. "How was your mother when you left her?" He swallows hard and places a hunk of fish meat in his mouth. Once he's done with it, he answers. "She was awake, fine in spirit and attempting to eat, but the sound from her chest was—" "She was struggling to breathe." He nods. "And when she coughed, was there blood?" "On occasion, but I think she was hiding it from me." "She must know how worried you are. No mother wants to see her sons suffer by watching them suffer." "So, can you help her?" "I can't make any promises. Akida and I am not trained to work on orcs. But from what you say, it sounds like a disease called tuberculosis, caused by bacteria." "But can you help her?" I sigh, determined to be honest with him. "I can try. In truth, she will need antibiotics, which I don't have. I will do everything that I can, though, this I can promise. My hope is that as an orc, she is more able to fend off the disease, and the fact that neither he nor anyone close has been infected makes me feel they are less susceptible than us humans. From what he's told me, she's always had a sickly disposition, so this probably explains why she's succumbed to it." We say nothing after that, just sit by the fire finishing our meal, lost in our own worlds. The exhaustion sets back in, and I settle back into the shelter, curling into a ball to keep myself warm. "Here," he says, a short while later, handing me the fur from the Hokin saddle. I gratefully receive it and close my eyes, desperate to put this day behind me. I'm woken by the snapping of branches. Though I'm exhausted, I have slept lightly, hyper-aware that I'm not safely cradled inside the bunker. I bolt upright and see Akida, his finger across his lips, gesturing to be silent. Fear rips through me. I don't think I can deal with any more threats at this point. Not only that, but I now worry for him. I barely know this orc, but wouldn't want any harm to come to him. Could it be an animal, or maybe some members of his clan that have come looking for him? A few seconds later, and I hear what is out there as they get closer to us. They are not animal or orc. They are human, and they are from my group. What on earth are they doing here?
Chapter 11. Akida. I am angry at myself for letting my guard down, her presence having distracted me and made me more comfortable than I should be out here in the wilderness. From the sounds that are coming from the trees, it does not seem to be orcs. We are heavier on our feet even when hunting. These footsteps are lighter, like an animal, or humans. Lisa's face is pale and drawn, but she sees that I am gesturing to stay quiet and stay put. Until I know what I am dealing with, I cannot be sure she will be safe. And for some reason unknown to me, I need her to be safe. I peer through a gap in the shelter wall. Finally, they emerge from the cover of the trees, and it is as I suspected. Humans. There are at least 4 of them, and I hope they are not carrying the weapons that they did earlier at the bunker. The both of them, I hear. They must both die. I shoot a look over at Lisa, whose face is distraught. It is bad enough that they have driven her from her home, but now they want her dead. After everything she has done for them. This woman is a healer, only straying from her bunker to collect much-needed supplies to treat her fellow humans with. She has dedicated her life to learning, striving, working to help make their lives better, more comfortable, safer. They will not know what they have lost until it is gone, just as we have with our magic. It looks as though not only orcs can be brutal, humans will also think nothing of killing their own if it will benefit them. There is good and bad in all species, I've come to realize. It is not our biology that defines us, but what we choose to do with our lives while we are here. My blood boils with rage. It is not that I should care about human affairs. It is the cruelty and injustice that gets to me. But I have to keep a grip of it, and keep my head if I am to get us both out of here safely. Are you sure we need to kill her too? One of them says in whispers. If we don't, she'll bring disaster to the bunker eventually. She brought a damn orc back to us. And anyway, those are our orders. Disaster. She has done nothing but help them. And I assured them that I would never harm their bunker or ever speak of its location. What is it about humans and their inability to trust the word of another? They're getting closer, and I move closer to her, trying to instill some calm in her as she grabs at my arm and looks at me with wide eyes. I place a firm hand on her shoulder and look deeply into her eyes. Whatever happens, I won't let them harm her. The fire pops and crackles and their footsteps get closer. The sound of what seems to be heavy rain confuses me, but as the drops of pungent liquid seep through the cracks in the shelter, I know it is not water. This is a flammable substance, and I have no doubt what they are planning on doing to us. There is a still-lit fire outside, and there is no time to lose. There is no way I will let them burn us to death because of their fear and mistrust. I will kill them before I allow that. I charge from the shelter into the shocked band of men, knowing that my beast will also be upon them in no time also, once he hears the commotion. The element of surprise is on my side, as well as my strength, and I am glad when the Hokin comes crashing through the brush to get to me. He roars at the men who recoil in terror, not expecting to see such a creature. It takes little to knock 2 of them down, their shocked faces looking up at me before I crack their heads together, sinking them into unconsciousness. Another attempts to run at me with one of their orc weapons, but even though is he large and strong for a human, he is nothing compared to me. I kick at the weapon, sending it flying into the undergrowth, while the other attempts to slice at my back. Flinging him over my shoulders, I place a steady foot on him once he has landed, before reaching down for the dagger in my boot and flinging it into the leg of the man who is now attempting to run off into the trees. He cries out and folds into the ground, while the one beneath me claws at my foot to free himself. I look down at him to see that he is struggling to breathe, and reluctantly loosen the fall of my foot against his chest. "Akita!" Lisa cries, emerging from the shelter. "Out of the shelter, it is not safe," I command. She says nothing and does as I say, obviously sensing the seriousness and urgency of my order. She looks over at the man who is rolling around in agony on the ground with a dagger in the back of his leg. The Hokeen eyes him, eager to sink its teeth into his flesh if I give the order. "He will be fine," I spit. "More's the pity." The look on her face is one of both horror and heartbreak and is almost too much to bear. She has been through so much already, and I know what it feels like to be abandoned and shunned by one's clan. "What should I do with them?" I ask. I will not be the one to sentence them to death. It is what they would expect an orc to do, which is why they are lucky it is I that they have accosted. Left to any other orc, they would already be hanging from a tree by their innards. In reality, I know what she will say. She is made for saving lives, not taking them, so I am not surprised by her answer in the slightest. "Let them go," she says, her voice low as if she is choking back the pain and the tears. "And we should go too. They've made their position clear and will only continue after us once they know we're still alive. Then let me kill them and dispose of their bodies, and the others that sent them will never know we are still alive." I'm not usually given to such thoughts, but right now I will happily dispose of these men if it means keeping her safe. She is already leading the Hokeen away before I can even agree, but I know that she is right. There is a change in her, as though she has become resigned to the fact she will never return to her bunker now. My chest aches for her. I know she will honor her promise to me, but what will come of her then? In such a short space of time, life for her has changed forever. She must wish that she never stepped foot outside of her bunker. But if she had not, then I would never have come across her. And though she is heartbroken and has lost so much, the thought is one that makes my heart heavier than it already is. I have no idea what the future holds for either of us. All we can do is move on, leave these men, these mountains, and the bunker behind. I help her up onto the Hokeen and climb up behind her. Once again, we are on our way. Tired, weary, and heartbroken, unsure of what may lie ahead.
Chapter 12. Lisa. We travel in silence as the sun creeps up over the mountains, and the events swirl through my mind. Though he has said nothing, I know that he senses both my sadness and my fear. For an orc, he is sensitive and observant, well attuned to the needs and feelings of others. But I would not want him to feel as I do, because then no one should have to feel this pain. I have lost everything, my home, security, and purpose. Perhaps this loss that I feel has found the old scars that are deep within me and reopened them, the ones that I'd suffered when I lost my parents to a tunnel collapse as an infant. It was James that took me in and raised me as his own, training me to become a doctor like him, as he cared for me also. And now I have lost him too. What must he be thinking? That I am dead, or even worse, a traitor. The fear of what might happen to me now is tempered only by the loss. I'm not sure if helping Akida is the right thing for me, but I have made a promise, and there is no need for him to lose everything too. He helped me and defended me. I need to repay the favour. It's the only thing I can do at this point in time. I would treat anyone that needs my help, though I'm still staggered that I left the men that attacked us behind without assisting them. I've never done such a thing before, even though I know they didn't deserve my help. After travelling for a few hours after the sun has risen, Akida finally says, "I think we should rest for a few hours. Try to eat something and gather our strength." I know he really means my strength, but I don't say anything. And anyway, it is probably best if we return to my stronghold under the cover of darkness. Suddenly my interest is piqued. And why would that be? We are not generally a clan that welcomes humans, he admits. Great. I don't really stand a chance with humans or orcs at this point, it seems. I try to make light of the situation, but he is obviously unconvinced. Trust me, he says, I will not let anything happen to you. His words are a tonic, soothing some of the worry that swishes around in me. Because I do trust him, no matter the frightening, unexpected or cruel things that may be coming my way. We will rest up ahead, he says. We are not far from the stronghold now and can wait for a while until the night comes. Whatever you think is best, I say. I'm at a loss as to what to do, and am glad not to have to make decisions with everything that I'm feeling right now. We come to a stop a short while later, and I'm glad for the relief. I'm slowly getting used to riding a hokin, but they aren't built for carrying human bodies, and I'm still sore. I'll make a fire, I state, determined this time I will be of more use. Thank you, that would be helpful, he says, picking up his bow. And I'll source us something to eat. Stay close to the beast, he will protect you, though I won't be far away. I will do that, I promise. I am actually becoming quite fond of the animal. He returns not long after with meat for the fire. Together we skin and prepare it, as if we have been doing this alongside each other forever. There is a comfortable silence between us as we cook and eat and wait for the sun to go down. I'm surprised by how close we were to the stronghold when we mount the hokin again and cross the river at its shallowest. The swell has started to recede, and I realise I have never been to the other side of this river before. We travel swiftly over the landscape beyond, now that I am more accustomed to the hokin, and it's obvious that both Akida and his mount know this area well. It isn't long before we see it. The muted glow of candles and fires are ahead in the distance, and my heart thumps in my chest. I'm about to enter an orc stronghold. It's an almost unfathomable thought, but I try not to attach too much weight to it, because if I do, I might change my mind or screw this up completely. It will be okay, he says, bringing us to a stop. But I will need to ask you to climb into this, he explains, pulling out a sack from the side of the saddle. When we enter, I will explain that I have been hunting and you are my kill. Well, it's not the worst thing that's happened recently. He grunts. How do you keep your humour? He asks. After everything that you have been through. It must be a defence mechanism, I say. A what? It's a term that we use for a psychological strategy that the mind uses to protect itself, I try to explain. He is always so serious and eager to learn and understand. He says nothing, and I turn to catch the look on his face, his brow worked into a small furrow. It's almost endearing. How does the mind protect itself? He asks. I'll tell you about it once I have taken a look at your mother, I reply. I look forward to it, he says. So, are we going to do this? Yes, we are, I say, jumping down from the hokin myself. Just keep as still as silent as you can. I will do my best to get us in quickly. As I step into the sack and he pulls it up over my head to secure it, I wonder what my life has come to. I had it all planned out, and those plans have been obliterated. Now I ride in a sack into an orc stronghold. Though I believe he is trustworthy, there is still much that Akida hasn't told me. I know nothing of his clan, and his reluctance to tell me makes me wonder if they are one of the more brutal ones, and that he hasn't fared well there. I am going to place you across the saddle in front of me, he says. It will be nothing unusual for them to see such a sight. His strong arms cradle me, lifting me and placing me gently back upon the hokin. It is uncomfortable and makes me nauseous, and I don't know if I'm more scared or relieved when I hear voices as we reach the settlement. Akida, where have you been? Says an orc with a low, gruff voice. You have neglected your duties by not returning last night. I do not need to answer to you, he says. You are a soldier, are you not? I hear footsteps and feel a presence nearby before a sharp object stabs at me. I try my best not to move or make a sound. Enough! bellows Akida. I have brought back a decent kill and I do not need to explain myself to you. I am the son of the chieftain. I can hardly believe what I'm hearing. A loud, cruel laugh spills from the other orc. You are nothing to Uzziah and you know it. Let me pass, or this beast will not be the only dead thing that I carry into the stronghold. A long, pregnant silence comes next, and I don't know if my heart will withstand the excruciating terror. Very well. I look forward to seeing the punishment that befalls you anyway, Akida. We start to move again, and there are so many thoughts and feelings pressing at me I can hardly breathe. This is more dire than I thought. What have I done by coming here?
Chapter 13. Akida. I take no notice of the looks that I get upon my return as I march through the stronghold. Whatever Uzziah decides to do to me is up to him, but I've come this far with Lisa, and I'm determined to see this through. Just as importantly, I will keep her safe. Once the Hokeen has been returned to its shelter, I place the sack containing Lisa over my shoulder and head back to my cabin, not saying a word just in case I am overheard. Uzziah has eyes and ears everywhere, and it is not worth the risk. I've never been so glad to see the cabin, and hope that my mother has not deteriorated further. She will be worried after I did not return last night, that is for sure, and so will my cousin. But I will explain once I have time. It is me. I am home, I call out when I open the door. There is no one in the living area, and I realize my mother must be in her bed. I set Lisa down gently and free her from the sack. She emerges red in the face, her golden hair stuck to her dampened skin. "Are you okay?" I ask, taking a good look at her. "I've been better," she says, stretching herself out. "But it's nothing more than some discomfort, and I'll live." "I'm sorry for everything." "I know, and thank you. But this is not down to you, Akita." If only that were so. I asked her to return here to help me, and I agreed to going back to her bunker with her. There is no doubt I am implicated in her exile from her community, and the thought of being part of the reason for her sadness and despair weighs heavily upon my shoulders. "Where is she? Your mother?" "She must have taken to her bed," I say, leading her to the room where my mother sleeps. "Akida, is that you?" says the familiar voice behind the door as we approach. "Yes, Romeo, it is me. I am sorry for my delay in returning, but things did not quite go to plan," I explain as I open the door. The air inside the room is cold and slightly damp, and I know this cannot be good. Inside, my mother is in bed sleeping while my cousin tends to her. Romeo looks up at me, then past me, as she sees Lisa. The look on her face is of shock and confusion, but she does not say anything. This is Lisa. She is a healer, a doctor as the humans say, and she is here to help. Romeo gets up from the chair at my mother's bedside and nods her head at us both, then leaves the room. I am unsure why she is so silent. It is certainly not like her, but I must see that my mother is treated first. "Please, will you check on her?" I say to Lisa, and wait nervously by the doorway. I simply cannot bear to see how sick she is. Lisa is calm and collected, however, and I can tell that she is both experienced and suited to this role. "I need a cloth or a scarf of some sort. This disease can be infectious to humans," she says. "Of course," I say, marching out to my room and returning in no time with some material that will hopefully be suitable. I did not even think about whether this would pose a risk to her. She thanks me and places it over her nose and mouth before taking a seat next to my mother. "Can you wake her? I wouldn't want to startle her," she says. Reluctantly, I step forward and place a hand on my mother's cheek. It's damp and yet warm to the touch. "Mother, it is me, Akida." Her eyes flicker, and when she senses a stranger next to the bed, she becomes agitated, coughing. I shudder as the cloth that I hold to her mouth becomes spattered with crimson droplets. "It's okay," says Lisa. "It's okay. I'm Lisa, a doctor from the human settlement and a friend of your son's." My mother looks at her, and then me. My boy, where have you been and what has happened? I am fine, Mother, but I needed to find help for you. I went to Uzziah, but he refused me again. I've tried and tried with him, but he will not relent. I had no choice but to go elsewhere for assistance. I hope I did not cause you too much worry. She smiles gently. My son, always looking out for me. But I do not want to put you or anyone else at risk just to save me. I have lived my life, Akita, and the only thing I want is for you to be safe, happy, and healthy. I know, Mother, but I am not ready to lose you yet. Not when there is something that can be done to help you. The magic is dying. Nothing can help me. I can help you, says Lisa. Now I'm going to examine you and ask you some questions if that is okay. Yes, thank you, my mother replies, and it heartens me to see her respond to Lisa positively. Akita, I need you to help lift your mother forward so that I can hear her breathing. I do as she asks, helping my mother sit up and forwards while Lisa presses at her back and holds her ear to it. She continues in this way, observing, listening, asking questions and explaining what she thinks this is to my mother. Watching her work is like magic in itself. She's calm, warm, skillful, and knowledgeable, and I see how my mother warms to her. So, you know what my sickness is? Yes, I'm quite sure it is a disease common to humans. It is curable, but it is important that your mind is strong, and that you can focus on recovering your health. My chest explodes with gratitude and relief, and I see the same reaction in my mother's eyes. If you'll excuse me a second, I will be back soon, Lisa says, getting up and leaving the room, and I follow her, relief coursing through me. It was worth it bringing her here after all. Your mother is very sick, she says. What? But you said... I said what I said so that she will have the will to recover and remain strong. This was a disease that was easy to deal with before the arrival of the orcs, but access to the medication is not easy now. But there is something we can do, surely. Yes, we can try. I've been studying the medical properties of the herbs and plants for a long time now. There are some that have antibiotic properties. It is a long shot, but it is worth it, and your mother is orc, so she may respond much better than we would expect a human to do. And this can work? With the proper treatment, rest, and nutrition, I am confident we can do this. I heave out a breath and run my hand over my face. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, Lisa. Thank you. She reaches out and strokes my arm, a gesture that instantly makes me feel better. I'm about to ask how I will go about collecting the necessary ingredients for the medicine when the door flies open, and Romaya rushes back in. She can hardly catch her breath, and her face looks stricken. I go to her and clasp her by her arms, worried that she may collapse. Ro, whatever is the matter? But it is no use. Her eyes are wild, her mouth trying to form words but unable to. Something is terribly wrong. Orcs. Gargoyles. Vampires. Ice monsters. Demons of the dark. These beasts seek war, destruction, and power. And there's only one thing that can tame them.
Love.
This is your chance to get the uncut and unabridged audiobook bundle.
No detail is spared.
Use discount code YouTube30 for an additional 30% off of the already discounted price.
Go to worldsofprathika.com.
Get access to countless audiobooks and discounted bundles where I talk you through every last scene.
Prothika's magic is eternal. Audio bundles will make it immersive.
Chapter 14. Akida. It pains me to have to do it, but Romaya is obviously incoherent, and I instinctively shake her to bring her to her senses. She simply looks back at me, desperation in her eyes, as if wanting to tell me what is wrong, but finding it impossible to do so. It's okay, Akita, I hear Lisa says beside me, and then I feel her hand on my arm. She is in shock. Let her catch her breath for a moment and recover. Turning to Lisa, I notice she is calm, and it helps relieve me of some of my own frenzy that is growing by the second. I take a deep breath and return to my cousin, who is wild-eyed with worry, releasing my grip on her arms and looking deep into her eyes. It, she stammers as her voice begins to return to her. It is... Uzziah. Fear grips me, having no idea what she is about to tell me, but knowing it will not be good. Could it be that we are under attack, or that he is on his way to punish me? So many scenarios race through my head, and I'm concerned for the 3 women that are now in my cabin. Whatever is coming to me, I will take it, but I need my mother, Romaya, and Lisa to be safe. What about him? What of my father? She takes some short, shallow breaths before continuing. He is injured. They all are, and badly. It still makes no sense to me, but I can at least feel satisfied that he is not on his way here to take these women. What has happened to them? They left to hunt this morning and have only just returned. But they have been attacked by another clan, and I don't want to hear what comes next. I must get to them. We are not close, and they have never treated me well, but we are still family, and Uzziah is my chief as well as my father. I need to go, Romaya. Please see to it that Lisa is made comfortable. I don't wait for an answer. Just take a fleeting look at the human whose face is now marred with concern, and fly through the door to get to my father's cabin, which is situated at the far side of the stronghold. There are people everywhere, soldiers braced for what might come next, and clan members that are concerned and panicking. Uzziah is a strong chief, and has been our leader for a lifetime. If his life now hangs in the balance, it will change everything. I push my way through the gathering crowd, hearing their words of fear, and wondering what effect this situation will have on this stronghold and its members. As orcs, we are aware that threat and war is never far away. It is all we have ever known. There are soldiers outside the large cabin, but they let me enter more easily than I anticipated. Maybe he has asked for me. I am his son, even if he has chosen to shun me my entire life. I'm shocked to find him directly in front of me on the floor by the fire, his entire face and body crusted with blood and his eyes heavy. Alongside him is my brother, Azukt, looking as if he is not long for this world. It seems that they will soon leave it together. Guzman, my father's second-in-command, stands and watches over them, his face more vulnerable than I have ever seen it. We were attacked. None of us saw it coming. They came for your father and brothers first. Most of the guards are gone as well. My head spins, wondering how this could happen. Which clan? He shakes his head almost in disbelief. I don't know. They move so stealthily and quickly. It was not a clan that I've ever seen before. But they are close, and they are strong. It may be that they are from much further afield and happened across us by chance, but I cannot be sure. Where are Yaruk and Hosa? I ask the healer that is tending to them. He nods to the door at the back of the cabin, and I quickly rush to speak with them. But when I open the door, I see that this will not be possible. Their bodies have been laid out side by side on the bed. Blood covers them, and there are deep slices across their shoulders and arms. But it is the angry slashes that have opened their necks that have taken them from us, their life force having flown like a river down their chests and abdomens until they have been drained. There has been little love lost between us over the years, but still, I feel the loss like a wound. I return to my father and remaining half-brother, hoping that they at least will make it. But it does not look likely. Can they not be healed with magic? I say desperately to the healer. No, my father says in a weak voice that I hardly recognize. I have been ordered not to use the remaining magic on them, the healer explains. It would barely be enough, and would deplete our sources far too much. But I must honor his wishes and do as I am commanded to. I am the keeper of the last of the magic. We must be careful with it. As much as I understand the reasoning, I am still torn in two. I kneel at my father's side, surprised by the sudden, overwhelming pain that I feel. We have never been close, far from it. But my mother has never encouraged me to hate him or rebel against him. I have done this for her, because she has faced enough disappointment in her life and did not need a son filled with rage and resentment. Seeing him and Azukt so weak and dying before my eyes is unfathomable. These men are like gods, strong, fierce, built for the fight. But even they are just men, just orcs, flesh, bone, and blood. I've always thought of Uzziah and my brothers as invincible, ferocious and tyrannical. They've always been figures of dominance and fear. It is unthinkable that they should be brought down in this way. Now they will be taken from us, and we will be without a leader or a successor. The clan will be vulnerable, and this is dangerous. Uzziah's breathing becomes shallow and infrequent. It is almost time. Next to him, my brother has almost slipped away. It will not be long before he draws his last breath. My father looks up at me as the life slips from him. He raises a clenched hand to me, and I can tell it is taking every last drop of life from him. "Here," he says, reaching for me, opening his hand that contains a round gold pendant with an arrow etched into it. The chieftain's token. "I am leaving the Golden Arrow clan in your hands, Akita." Never would I have expected him to do such a thing, but never would I have expected for him to fall, along with his other sons, on something as benign and simple as a hunting expedition. Looking up in surprise at Guzman, whose face is now hard and stoic, I try to make some sense of this. It would seem natural for his second-in-command to assume the role for now. But I must be the rightful successor to the leadership now that my brothers are dead and dying, even if it never has crossed my mind before. I'm floored by his request, my life changing within the blink of an eye. His chest wheezes and rattles, and his eyes fix into a lifeless stare. He is gone, and I am now the leader of the Golden Arrow clan.
Chapter 15. Lisa. The cabin is relatively tucked away, but I can tell there is something happening in this stronghold that's unnerving. Outside, there have been orcs coming and going, and I can hear the shouts and cries of clan members and soldiers in the background. Ramaya has said little to me, though she's done as Akida asked and made me comfortable, feeding me and showing me to a room that I assume is his. Her silence is based on her concern for her cousin, I reason, having brought a human into the stronghold when he is already in trouble. How could she know I would never want to cause him any harm or inconvenience? I don't blame her. She is just looking out for her family, and I'm glad he has someone who cares that much for him. The room is comfortable enough, furnished with just a bed and some shelves, and I am exhausted after the events of previous days. But even though I now have a comfortable bed to rest on, there is no way I can sleep. It is just so intense out there. I am careful, but every now and again I peek through the window to see the soldiers that are patrolling the area. There is hardly a half hour that goes by that someone isn't checking the vicinity, and it makes me nervous of what might be happening. My heart is in my mouth every time I see them, hoping more than anything that they don't come up to the cabin and find me here. Humans are not welcome here, it seems, especially as visitors to the stronghold. I will be taken immediately if I'm found. If there's to be an attack from another orc clan, I need to decide what to do, because that is not going to fare well for a lone human woman caught between two clans of orcs. I will need to try and make my escape rather than waiting here like a sitting duck. Akida has been gone for hours. Will he return? I have no way of knowing what is happening, and I am concerned for him also. I have not even had the chance to speak to him about the fact that he is a chieftain's son and have no idea what is going on within this family. When I agreed to come here, I had assumed I was just helping an orc, an ordinary warrior with no claims to rank. But it was obvious before I was even out of that sack that there is much more to his situation. What his circumstances are is beyond me, and now something else has happened. My legs are sore and heavy, but I still pace the room, exhausted and worried. When he doesn't return after another hour or so, I have nothing left inside me. My eyes are heavy and my legs beg for some relief. I climb into his bed that is huge and smells of him and fall into sleep. When I wake, the sun is already up. It takes me a while to register where I am, but when the sweet and musky smell hits me, I remember I am in his cabin. I quickly rise and go to his mother's room. That's where I find him, sitting at her side, his shoulders slumped, his face mournful, and all that I want to do is comfort him. He looks up at me as I appear at the door while his mother sleeps soundly, but he says nothing. He's drawn and exhausted and looks almost beaten by a life that assaults him daily with hardship and problems. I've been worried, so much has been happening out there, I say softly, eager not to wake Isa. Is everything okay? Instantly, I regret that question. Of course everything's not okay, but at least he is here and he is alive. There were moments when I thought I may never see him again, and it affected me more than I would have expected. His eyes carry a deep pain, one that I wish I could soothe with a tincture or poultice, but I know that could never be the case. There are certainly differences between humans and orcs, but there's also much that we have in common. Pain is universal, whether of the body or the heart. My father is dead, as are my brothers, attacked as they hunted by orcs, though we do not know who. Oh, Akida, I'm so sorry. I have been in this position before, watched people die and held the hands of their loved ones. Yet this hits me like none of those others did, though I felt sorry for their suffering. Because it is him, and it sears my heart just to see the look on his face. He tilts his head, a slow and pensive action. I should be glad. They have treated my mother and I badly, shunning us all my life. We are safe now and finally free of their grip. And yet there is a place inside me that feels as though it is breaking. Tears spring to my eyes. I have never known such a caring, sensitive man, and it breaks my heart to see him suffer so much. But this is just a part of it. He has suffered for years, as has Isa, neglected and ostracized while his father favoured his brothers. How did they never see the great man, the great orc that he is? Intelligent, loyal and compassionate beyond measure. Any man would be proud to have him as a son, just as Eza is, but somehow these qualities have escaped them. Not only that, but they have actively made him feel shame for who and what he is. Someone like him who is so sensitive and observant. Someone who would have flourished under the guidance and care of a father and a family. But Akida is surely one of the best orcs there is. I hope that he knows this, that he is aware of his worth. Without thinking about it, I go to him, stepping inside his spread legs and embracing him in my arms as he sits. When I touch him, it is like coming home. I've missed his body so close to mine after spending so much time alongside him in the saddle. He accepts my embrace and wraps his thick, strong arms around me gently, laying his head on my shoulder. I brush back his thick, dark hair and hope that what I offer is enough to give him at least some comfort, trying hard not to let him see the tears that flow down my face, the ones that I cry for him as he rests his huge body against mine, the ones I cry as I think of the boy who was cast aside while his mother suffered with her health. There are enough things to suffer in this world, enough to cause us pain and make the days seem as black as a moonless night. Why is it necessary to cause even more, especially for a child? Because now he is a man, and still he suffers, and it tears me apart to witness it. When I place a hand on his cheek, he sinks into it, his head so large beneath it. I savour the feel of him, his skin warm and soft to the touch, even though it is tough and thick. He is a man that needs comfort and tenderness, not just battle and hardship. We remain there, while his mother sleeps, cradled in each other's arms, our bodies talking to each other silently of pain and comfort, loss and understanding. It is something that we both should be used to, having survived this world this far. But I have never felt the suffering of another so acutely, though I've seen a lot. Because I have never known anyone like him, Akida Valen. Chapter 16. Lisa. When Isa sputters and wakes from her sleep, I step back from her son and feel his arms reluctantly leave me. My face heats and I'm aware that I must look flushed with embarrassment. But I'm also glad to see her awake and looking a little better than the previous evening. She smiles warmly at us, her eyes containing a sparkle that they didn't before. "Mother, are you okay?" he asks. "I have slept better than I have in years," she says, "and I am better for seeing the both of you together." Neither of us knows how to react to this statement, and I feel my face flush further. I am about to make my excuses, and he must sense it as he catches my hand. His action shocks me, but the feel of my hand in his is more than welcome. "Eat with us," he says. "My cousin usually prepares breakfast for us so that we can eat as a family, and will be here soon." In truth, I want to refuse and run back to the room that I came from, close the door, and think about what the hell is going on. But it would be rude to do so, and both he and Ezra deserve better, and so I nod in agreement. "I will collect some water so that we can freshen up," he says, standing and looking down at Isa. "Do you need some help?" "You do what you need to do, though you look tired, my son. I am feeling a lot better having rested. It is surprising what some good news and some reassurance can do," she says, looking at me. Glad that she is feeling a little better, I smile at her. She is kind and warm woman, and I would hate to see her succumb to an illness such as this. "Maybe we can gather the plants that we need today, and I can begin your treatment," I say. "Your breathing does not sound as laboured as it did." "Just knowing that this is a human disease that can be cured has helped me greatly and has lifted my spirits," she says. "I am indebted to you, Lisa, and am glad that Akida found you." We have not even got into the details of how he found me yet, or anything else besides, but I take the thanks and smile at this kind-hearted orc woman. She is warm and welcoming, and I can see why Akida loves her so very much, and why he is as he is, having been raised by her. While Akida goes for water, I check her over, surprised by the difference in her since last night, and she has not even had the herbs yet. This must be the difference between the orc and the human disposition. By now, a human with this disease would likely be close to death. When I'm done, Romia is at the door, carrying a basket with fresh breads, meat and berries. She sets the small table and we eat together once Akida is back. She is more welcoming to me today, possibly from seeing the change in Asa. I tell them a little of myself and the bunker, though neither I nor Akida talk of the troubles that we have encountered. It is important for Isa to keep her spirits up and not to have additional stress on her system. "Will you tell us what you know of the events last night?" Romaya asks her cousin. He stills and looks down. "It is a very serious situation," he says. "I went to Uzziah's residence, but I was not allowed in. I will go to the meeting hall after I have left and see what the developments are." "But do you know what happened?" she persists. "There is much talk, and the stronghold was in a frenzy last night." "All I know is that there was an attack from a clan that we know nothing of," he says. "I will return with further news later." He looks at her, as if begging her not to continue. I wonder why he is not speaking of the situation, but I know that he wishes to keep such things from his mother at this point. She is in good spirits, and he means to see that it continues. Luckily, Romaya takes the hint and makes no further mention of it. Instead, she turns the conversation around to me, asking of my training and about how the knowledge I have acquired has been gathered and passed down. Our worlds are so different in some ways, and I talk of science and experimentation and how modern medicine came to be. They all listen enthralled, and when I'm done, I'm just as keen to hear about their system of healing through magic. Isa talks of Protheka, the land from which they originated, and the source of the magic, telling us tales of her childhood and youth. I try to imagine what it is like, and how the energy source they call magic came to be. "Isa, I have never heard you talk so much about Protheka. It is nice to hear these stories," says Romaya. "Perhaps it is time I spoke of these things," she says, a knowing look passing between her and her son, as a small smile catches at the corner of his mouth. The atmosphere is a warm one, a familiar one, and I am made to feel at home with these orcs who are kind and generous. It is the kind of family that I always wished for, having a very different experience to this, though James tried his best. Akida's mood has also lifted, and deep in my heart, I hope that it was the comfort from me, as well as the health of his mother, that has caused this. I catch myself looking at him while we talk and eat, taking the time to examine him more closely now that I am relaxed. I ask myself if it is okay that I am attracted to him, to the hue of his skin and the strong cut of his jawline. I find myself wondering how those thick tusks feel and what he could do with them. Then there is that body, so much bigger than mine, tall, muscular and strong. Though it scared me at the time, I remember the feel of his hand on my stomach and know that I would welcome it there now. His huge, gentle hands. I can't believe this is the orc that I kicked in the face and threw rocks at. The time at the cave seems so long ago, when in reality it was no time at all. How he carried me from the water's edge and saw to it that I was safe and dry. This kind, strong, gentle orc that I do not want to let go. It hits me. The thought of not being around him is not one I want to contemplate. Having held him and felt his arms around me, I can't wait to feel them again. It may have been just comfort he wanted, but to feel him against me, his head on my shoulder, I want more of that, of him. I relive our embrace over in my mind as we sit here, how it felt to hold him and be held by him. Was it just the emotion of the moment, having lost his father and his brothers? I can't be sure. But it felt real, and there is a large part of me that needs that closeness with him again. It's a feeling that scares me and thrills me in equal measure. I've had plenty of men that have chased me over the years, and some that I have enjoyed being with, but nothing like this. Those interactions have been purely out of lust or boredom, but never anything else. I have also promised myself that my work would come first. Why should this change now that I am not at the bunker? There is still much to learn, and there will always be people to treat wherever I end up. But what if I don't want to end up anywhere else? Because this feels right, warm, loving, and right. What am I going to do?
Chapter 17. Akita. After enjoying good food in the company of the women I care about, I am more than ready to face what is coming. Nobody is to know of the token that I hold, not even my mother. If anyone should find out, then I know it will have come from Guzman or the healer, the only witnesses to my father's dying words. But I am confident that I have the support from my father's second-in-command, and it bolsters me knowing that for once, someone is on my side. After excusing myself, I leave the cabin and head to the meeting hall, the chieftain's token tucked into my pocket. There is a guilt in knowing that I am keeping this from my family, but it is best that it remains a secret for now. They have been through enough already, and I do not want to set back my mother's recovery. Seeing her improve has made all the difference to me, and I hope it will continue. Though I carry some apprehension, this feels a natural step to take. For years I have kept myself small, avoiding competing with my brothers for fear of what would come of my mother. I am not as gifted as them or my father when it comes to physical prowess, but I can more than hold my own, and I am confident in what I hold in my head. Playing small has been hard. Now that this part of me is able to be free, I already feel different, as if a huge weight has been lifted from my entire being. I am free to be myself, and I am a chieftain. I've always craved change, seeing the way that we live and knowing it can be better. The magic is dying, but that does not mean that we have to, or that our fear needs to be the thing that drives us. More than anything, I have wanted to see my mother treated in the way that she deserves. My father's treatment of me has hurt me. Of that there is no question, feeling the depths of this despair just a few hours ago. But seeing her suffer unnecessarily has been torture. When I am chief, she will suffer no more, and will be free to live without fear of another who would see her suffer rather than help her to heal. I can hear the commotion before I even enter the hall. Their voices are loud and harsh, I understand the pressure they feel and the threat that looms over them now that they are without a leader, and with a dangerous and unknown clan out there somewhere. But it will do us no good to lose our heads. We must be calm and pragmatic now more than ever. Nobody notices when I enter the room, such is the way they have been trained by my father and brothers. I am a nobody to them, but that will soon change. Confidently, I stride across the room, my boots heavy on the wooden floor, and take my place in my father's chair. I look at them from the chieftain's chair, the faces of the council and the elders becoming still, and the noise dropping as they both marvel and rage at my perceived insolence. Once I have their full attention, I take the token from my pocket, hold it up, and then place it on the table in front of me. "What is this?" spits one of the elders. "Have you finally dared to challenge your father now that he is dead?" Roars and jeers rise up again, and I allow them a time to get it out of their systems. "Guards, remove this fool!" the same elder says once the noise has died down. One of the young guards from the door makes to move. "Stay where you are, and leave him where he is," says Guzman, who sits at my side. The guard looks confused, but listens to the chieftain's second-in-command. I do not know him well, having spent little time around my father, but I know that he was loyal to him and to the clan. "And now you? What has come over you, Guzman?" "I was there when Uzziah passed. I heard his last words and saw his last actions. His dying wish was for Akita to take over as leader of this clan, and I personally saw him hand over the token." "And how do we know that is the truth?" "Because I am telling you it is," yells Guzman, "and I am loyal to my leader and my clan." "And so am I finish. "I am the new chieftain of the Golden Arrow clan. Uzziah was my father, and his sons, my brothers, have fallen alongside him. I now hold the token, and I will challenge anyone who dares question this." Murmurs fill the hall, and I stare back at the angry council, but I will hold my own and can feel myself growing into my new position as a leader. As I suspected, the tribe elders protest. They have always secretly coveted power, having no chance of taking it from my father. Now they think they have a chance against me because they do not know me. They have not spent any time getting to know me, and this is my advantage. The first rule of any battle that all leaders are aware of: know your enemy. Addressing them for a final time, I make my position clear. And so this is how it will be. In good faith, I will allow any challenge from the elders, and if any can defeat me, then they are free to take this seat. But if I win every challenge, there will be no questioning of my rule from here on in. I will be Akida, chieftain of the Golden Arrow clan. The hairs on the back of my arm stand up as I say my name with this title, and I know I am meant for this. I have bided my time, never expecting to be in this position, but feeling confident now that I am. I will be a very different leader to my father, leading this clan to better things and greater prosperity. I will do this for my clan, for my mother, and for my father. I will grieve him by becoming the orc and the leader that I am meant to be, and that he was not. Learning from his strengths, but more from his weaknesses. For too long this clan has been driven by fear and brutality. I will lead them in a new way of being. I am calm as I let them discuss my proposition, and after much deliberating, I'm not surprised to find them in agreement. Few of them look pleased about this situation. I imagine this was not the meeting that they were expecting to have. "We will fight to win, not to die. I have no intention of draining this clan of its elders," I say. "There will be less bloodshed under my rule, but do not mistake that for weakness." They look around, their eyes wide, shocked by the way in which I speak. I too am surprised by the words that come out of my mouth, but they are not planned. They come out as naturally as the air that leaves my lungs. Guzman looks at me and nods in silent reverence, and I nod back in thanks. He will remain at my side as my second-in-command once I have defeated the elders. As second-in-command to the late Chief Uzziah, I hereby declare that Akita Valun will challenge the elders of this clan to take his father's seat as leader. Without delay, we will go to the arena and settle this matter. I stand and march out of the meeting hall, leaving them behind me. They will need to get used to that. I will be their leader, and they will need to follow. Chapter 18. Akida. I hear them behind me as I march across the two-challenge arena, a circle bordered with boulders, built smaller than expected for orcs of our size to maximize the body contact, being an area that is also used for combat training. In my mind, I have an idea of those that will challenge me for the leadership. At least 3 who would like to find themselves the next chieftain of this clan. But there is no way that I will let them. It is my time now, the dying wish of my father. There are not many things that he asked of me, other than to stay out of his way. The air is heavy with anticipation once we are all gathered, and Guzman leaps up onto the arena wall. Akida, son of Uzziah, our esteemed and fallen leader, it is now time to fight for what you claim to be yours. Enter the arena. I do as he requests, leaping across the rock as my heart thuds in my chest and my muscles twitch ready for action. Guzman continues with the ritual of ours. This battle that will decide my fate and that of the clan. I clear everything from my head and drop into my body, pumping at my chest and cracking out my neck. I am well rested and ready, and I have more to fight for than any of those that will jump over the wall to me in the ring. Who will be the first challenger? He cries. I pay no attention to who this will be as I wait in the center. It is my job to be ready for whoever jumps over that wall, and over they will come, one by one. I, Maduksura, comes the response. Maduksura, you will be the first into the arena, and if you win, then you will be last. Enter. He joins me in the center, our eyes locking. It has been decided that this is not a fight to the death, but to injury or surrender. Weapons and shields are placed on the wall, and we collect them, ready for the fight. Begin. He charges at me, swiping at me with his spear as I throw myself across the floor, rolling and then quickly finding my feet again. Before I know it, he is charging at me again, but I hold my own, placing the shield in front of me. His spear breaks in two with the force with which he is thrown behind it, and I quickly use that as my time to strike, surging forwards and driving him to the ground. Leaving him no time to recover, I drop against his chest, the shield between us and my spear now digging into his neck. Surrender! I cry. He tries to kick and flail beneath me, desperate to get back to his feet. Bit I am younger and stronger than him, and he will never make it. Surrender! When he says nothing, I press the spear further into his neck, drawing a small trickle of blood. Maduksura, this is your final chance. Surrender now, I bellow, covering him with saliva. I surrender, he says eventually. Guzman stands atop the wall. Akida is the victor. Are there any other challengers? Maduk has not even had a chance to leave the arena when the next arrives. I, Azur Kilyar. I ready myself for the next challenge, feeling confident in my abilities to get this job done. But he is stronger, if slower than my previous opponent, driving hard at me with his axe. Over and over, he pushes at me, his strategy to drain me of my energy, and it is starting to work. I need to recover some of this energy, and I need to drain some of his. When he next comes at me, I let him, holding my defense position as he swings and swings, never getting to me, just to my shield. When his breathing deepens and his swings become less frequent, I push back at him. He does not fall to the ground like Maduk, but he stumbles, and I can tell he is struggling. Now is the time that I choose to attack, raining down blows with my shield until he is pinned to the wall. Surrender! I yell as he gasps for air. I will not! Then you will die trying to find your breath, I say. Don't be a fool, Azur. His knees buckle and Guzman appears on the wall. Azur, do you surrender or fight? It takes a few moments, but he submits and I am the victor again. And this continues until I have fought 4 of the elders and beaten them all. But it has taken its toll on me, and though I will never surrender, I am feeling the strain. Are there any more challengers for the leadership of this clan? Guzman once again cries. For a moment there is silence, and I am hopeful that we are done, and that I am now the chieftain, until I hear his voice. I, Fenric Mazen! I cannot say I am surprised, and yet I had hoped it would not come to this. Fenric is one of the oldest yet strongest elders, and the most experienced in battle. He was one of my father's greatest warriors, and is now a revered member of the Elder Council. I am bloody, bruised, and weary, but I will not show it. For this fight, I chose the halberd. Begin! He eyes me with the look of an animal that has roamed the planet for many years, having fought and survived many things. Up against him, I feel young and inexperienced. It is time to give up this foolishness, Akita. You are no leader. And so it is to become a war of words. But I will not play that game. We prowl around each other like hunters waiting to strike. Then he comes for me, swinging his halberd and sending me stumbling backwards. You are the bastard son of a man that did not want you. Scrabbling to my feet, I rise to defend myself against the oncoming attack. He was ashamed of you. You could never be the leader that he was. Your words are meant to break me, Fenric, which shows that you know nothing about me. I take everything that he throws at me and turn into the fuel I need to defeat him and win this challenge. His eyes widen as I surge at him, raining blow after blow at his shield, until he is on the ground and it is in pieces. I am not my father, and I am not intending to be the leader that he was. I raise my weapon and bring it down with such force it would sever his head. But I have chosen to honor my word, and it lands in the earth beside him. I am Akida, chieftain of the Golden Arrow clan. My body should be spent, and yet I feel as though I am a conqueror of all that there is as it beats and pulsates, the energy hot and wild. The men are silent. All that can be heard the rasping breaths of the orc on the floor, and my deep, heavy breathing. There is a stillness that speaks of knowing and change. I am a chieftain, and I have earned the title fairly, even though I am the son of Uzziah. I raise my halberd into the air and roar as the men join me in victory and celebration. Then, once I am done, I reach down and help up my challenger. "Thank you, Chief Akida," he says, his face bloodied and his body weakened. "Chief Akida, could I have ever imagined such a thing? It does not matter now what came before. Whatever I have suffered strengthens me, providing me with the knowledge and experience that I bring to my role and my rank. I am a chieftain, and things will change around here now. It is a new era for the Golden Arrow clan."
Chapter 19. Lisa. I am still thinking of him as I prepare some treatments for Isa. He has not been out of my mind since I left his arms in the early hours. Romaya has been successful in finding some of the plants that I have described to her, being familiar with some of the most pungent herbs that she already uses in her cooking, and I am pleased with my progress so far today. Their scents dance around me, reminding me of what I am here to do, but all I can think about is him. I wonder how he is feeling now and whether he really is at their meeting hall as he has told Romaya and his mother. I think about the feel of his skin and the clutch of his large hand as it covered mine. There's so much more I want to know and discover about him, even though these feelings are confusing. I am a human that doesn't belong here, other than to pay a debt, and he is an orc that has just lost a large part of his family. He carries so much on his broad shoulders, especially now, but he's used to shouldering hardship, it seems. Still, it was a shock to see him so vulnerable as I held him, and I wonder if he has ever let that side of him out before. For now, I will keep his secret. It's the least I can do. There is a lot he will be dealing with, and I need to focus on helping Isa to heal. If I am successful with my treatments, then it will be helpful in terms of my understanding of the disease and the healing capabilities of orcs. I have never thought about using my skills to help orcs before, but since meeting Akida, a new world seems to have opened up inside me. One where humans and orcs exist alongside each other, learning, assisting and helping each other. It's a frightening prospect, to have one's worldview turned completely upside down. I've always been taught to fear orcs, that they were vile and brutal creatures not capable of reasonable thought and emotion. While this may be true for some, I now know differently. It's not orcs or humans that we should fear. It's ignorance and malice, born of fear itself. It's the need for power over others and the desire to dominate those who are unable to defend themselves. It's the selfishness that sees others as nothing more than objects to be used and abused as they see fit. But there are those who are different, like James, who has devoted his life to healing and teaching, as well as to a young girl that lost her parents. Like Isa, who, despite the cruel way that she has been treated, has not lost the kindness that rests in her heart. And like Akida, the man who saved me from perishing at the riverbank, and who will stop at nothing to make sure that his mother is protected from a clan that shuns her, and a disease that threatens her health. These are the things that, day after day, make rising and putting one foot in front of the other in this strange, cruel world worth it. The reason why it is worth continuing, pushing forward, hoping that it won't always be this way. It's not too late for humans or for the orcs who have already suffered so much on Protheca. Civilizations have risen and fallen before. New worlds have been created. It can be done, I know it. Would this sound strange to him? He has already told me of Aza's belief that humans are not the enemy of orcs. It is part of the reason he stopped for me in the first place. His clan have little time for humans, but obviously he is not like them. There is so much that runs through me as I work, the silence and the solitude speaking to me in ways that are new. It's rare to have such time alone. At the bunker there is no time or space for such thoughts. There is just work and study. Even though I've made it my duty to commit to this, it's refreshing to have time and space away from the bunker and what I've always known. It surprises me that, although I am worried for James and concerned for my patients, I am not eager to return to the bunker. There is an ordinariness here, as if life is less frantic and fraught with fear. Maybe it is just this family, I can't be sure, but it feels more real, and there's something about it that is wholesome and good. Eza is sleeping soundly, Akida is out gathering news about the future of the clan, and Romia is collecting herbs while I work on them over the stove. I smile, feeling an unexpected sense of peace as I do what I am trained to do and what I love. When I'm happy that the treatments are properly prepared, I go to Akida's room to find some cloth that I can use to strain the mixture through. I search through what little there is for something that is light in weight and also clean. I hear the door open and then close, and the heavy footsteps that I am becoming used to. My stomach flutters, hoping that he may have returned. With Isa asleep and Romaya out gathering herbs, we may have some time to talk. But I notice the steps are lighter and assume it is Romaya, especially when I hear them making their way to Isa's room. She has been asleep for a few hours and needs to be checked soon, so I don't call out to Romaya not to wake her. But I'm shocked when I hear a crash coming from that direction. Against my better judgment, I rush to her, to find not Romaya but another orc woman, gloating over a shaken Isa. Eza throws the cup of water from beside her bed at the woman. She is pale and panting, clearly agitated, and I have no idea what is going on here. Why would she come into this home and seek out Isa in this way? Stop, I cry, worried for Akida's mother, who has been recovering well so far. Leave her alone this minute. Can't you see she is sick? The stunned woman turns to me, and I realise the foolishness of my actions. I've been comfortable amongst this family of orcs, too comfortable, and forgotten my place. I'm not welcome in this clan, and the anger on this woman's face is all the proof that I need. With 2 large steps she reaches me, the ferocity in her eyes scorching and sending panic to every part of me. Leave her, Isa shouts, sending her into a coughing fit. She tries to stand to help me, but is too weak and falls back down onto the bed. Pain shoots through me as the angry woman takes me by the hair, dragging me across the floor and out of the cabin. As much as I kick out at her, it's no use. She is far bigger and stronger than me. I shouldn't have gone in there, but wanted to help Isa. They have all done their best to conceal me, from carrying me in here in a sack, to telling no one of my presence. After all that, I am being dragged out into the open for all to see, while the angry woman shouts, "Human! Human in the stronghold!" at the top of her voice. I am thrown to the ground, hitting my head and almost lose consciousness. Shadows creep across my eyes and my head spins, but I still see them, the orcs that have come running and now surround me. What have I done? Chapter 20. Lisa. I found her in Isa's house. She has been shielding her, and that pathetic son of hers is involved as well, no doubt. They are traitorous as well as weak. The woman whips the others that are gathering up into a frenzy, though it doesn't take much. "What were you even doing in Isa's house?" someone cries, and I recognise the voice as Ramaya's. As much as it's a welcome and friendly one, I don't want her to get into trouble because of me. I wanted to be the one to tell her that her time is almost up if the rumours about Uzziah and his sons are to be believed. She sneers. "You are a cruel and bitter woman, Rukta, and it is no wonder that he chose Ezar instead of you all of those years ago. And he paid dearly for it, with her useless body and that runt of hers. You are not fit to kiss the ground that she walks on." "Ha! She cannot even walk," she spits. The commotion and the word human have worked, drawing clan members from across the stronghold, eager to see what's happening. A wall of orcs now envelops me, and I'm sick to my stomach with fear. There can't be any way out of this, surely. I should never have come here. I should. A kick to the back silences my thoughts as the pain tears through me, and I wait for the rest of it, knowing this will likely be the end. Their fury is thick in the air. There will be no talking them down from this. Asa is too ill to help, and I cannot expect her to intervene in a situation like this on my behalf, and I have no idea where Akida is. Instinctively, I curl into a ball, feeling every bit the child that my fetal position shows. I'm ready to return to wherever I came from. How could I know it would have come to this? And yet I took the risk. Enough! The roar is so loud I can hear it clearly, even through the shouts and grunts and the blood that's pumping in my ears. Hope springs up inside me, though it shouldn't. It may be best to lie here and get beaten to death than to become some sort of human prize to be used by these orcs. Light breaks through the wall of green as the orcs are pulled apart, and I look up to see Akida. I've never seen him like this, his eyes wild and his face so hard it almost doesn't look like him. His body is dirty with earth and blood, and there are gashes across his face. I look on as he pushes people aside, throwing himself in front of me to shield me from their blows and angry advances. There is something different about him, a confidence, a fierceness that wasn't there when he left only a few hours ago. "So, it is you that has brought her here," someone shouts. "Kill her before we kill you." "You and your mother have always been a drain and a liability to this tribe," says the woman that dragged me here. Her words are even more vicious than her actions, and if I could, I'd strike her myself for speaking of them in this way. "No wonder your father did not want you." "My father is dead, and what he did or did not want when he was alive is now of no consequence," he says, "except when it comes to one matter." "Kill her or give her up for sport," a voice shouts from the crowd. The roar that leaves him is so raw and wild, it's as if it has come from an animal. It echoes around the crowd, shocking them into submission as they stare at him, stupefied. "Guzman, disperse these people and arrest anyone that does not comply," he finally says. He reaches down and pulls what looks like a pendant from his pocket, holding it up for all to see. "I am your new leader, Akida, chieftain of the Golden Arrow clan." Gasps and murmurs fill the air, and I can hardly believe what I'm hearing, just like them. "What he says is true," says someone that I can't see in the background. "I, along with the other elders, have just challenged Akida, son of Uzziah, for the leadership, and he has won. This is our new leader, and you will show him the respect that he now commands." He steps forward, a tall, broad orc, older than Akida, who is also battered and bruised by the fight. "But I have to wonder why you have brought a human into the stronghold, Akida." Akida does not back down, and neither does he need to know that he is the chieftain. He reaches down to me and helps me to my feet, and we stand before them, both of us marked and bloodied. His arm slips across my shoulder, and it's the most welcome feeling I've ever experienced. In his arm, standing close to him, I feel as though nothing and no one can get to me. This woman is my mate, and anyone that would even wish her harm, let alone act upon it, will be punished more severely than I can even explain. I am the chieftain now, handed this responsibility by Uzziah my father and earned by my own hands. My word is the last one. He turns to the woman, Rukta, who has started all of this. When I return to my house, I expect to find my mother well and unharmed. If this is not the case, you will be the first to suffer the punishment from the new leader. And if you so much as look at this woman again, you will be dragged to the nearest tree to be used as target practice by my men. The once smug look on her face drops, aware that he is now the one with the power, and that she has just assaulted the chieftain's mother and mate. A part of me wants to see her suffer, a part that I do not recognize in myself. But she is the worst of what a person can be, cruel and bitter. I must not become like her, as Akida himself has managed. Instead, I let these feelings come and then drift away. She will not make me the same as her. This world has tried hard enough and not won yet. And besides, there is enough to concern me right now. Heaven only knows what my face must give away as I stand here completely bewildered by his statement. His mate? What is he talking about, and why is he doing this? But the faces that surround us, now at a distance, are even more shocked. Shocked to learn that their chieftain is dead as well as his sons, and even more shocked to learn that they have a new one, Akida, the son who had been shunned and mistreated, the man who now stands before us all, looking and sounding every bit the leader. It was a bizarre turn of events, and one that nobody was ready for, except for Akida. He has taken his grief, anger, and passion and alchemized it into gold, because he is precious. More capable than I could have even imagined, an orc worthy of being a leader, and I know that he will make a good one, strong, intelligent, and compassionate. Now leave and go back about your business. I have plenty of business of my own, and you will hear of that in due course. I will gather you all once I am ready. The crowd parts as he leads me through them and back up to the cabin, his arm still at my shoulder, heavy and reassuring. He closes the door behind us, and I have a feeling that things will be different for us all from now on. A new era has begun.
Chapter 21. Akida. There is an energy that courses through me I have never felt before, as I lead Lisa into my home and close the door on the rest of the clan. My heart thumps and my muscles burn, and I feel as though I could defeat an entire army all alone. Akida! Akida! Is that you? What is happening outside? They have Lisa! I rush to my mother's bedside, and Lisa also follows. We find her pale and breathless on the bed. Mother, are you well? Let me look at her, says Lisa, ushering me out of the way. I swear if that woman has harmed you. Please, I am fine. I was more concerned for Lisa. You poor girl, what did she do to you? Not to worry, Isa. They are just minor cuts and bruises. Akita saw to it that I wasn't harmed further. My guts churn as I think of what might have happened to her if I was not around to get to her. Maybe I should have punished Rukta after all, just to make an example of the vile woman. Is it true what she was saying to me? About Uzziah and your brothers? My mother asks, her face stricken. Lisa lays a hand on my arm. Let me make you comfortable and see to it that you are okay before we get into that, she says. That woman has jeopardized your recovery. I help Lisa tend to my mother, fetching her water and the tincture that she has prepared for her. Once she is more settled, she says, Tell me now, please, Akida. I will leave you both alone to talk, says Lisa before leaving the room. As much as it breaks my heart all over again, I tell her what happened to Uzziah and his sons. I was with him as he took his last breath, That is when he made his wishes clear and handed me the chieftain's token. This news almost takes her breath away. That after all those years he finally chose me. The tears come freely, soaking into her pillow. It pains me to see her this way, but I know that she loved Uzziah despite everything that has happened over the years. I will leave you now, to mourn in your own way. Though it is sad, and our hearts are broken, we are also free now. Free to live our lives, and second to no one. Uzziah chose to live as he wished, causing much pain in the process. Maybe it is time for us both to let go now. She raises a hand to my cheek and strokes it gently. I am so proud of you, Akita, my son. There is not a better orc to lead this clan. You have always been a leader, in your heart and in your head, and now it is your time. I rest my hand against hers, and we sit for a moment as she silently sobs. I will leave you now, mother. If need anything, just call. Lisa is sat at the table when I come from my mother's room. She seems tired and in shock, staring off into the distance, though there is nothing to see other than the cabin wall. You are hurt, I say. She turns to me as if she did not even hear me enter the room. Just some scrapes, she says nonchalantly. Let me take a look for you. Surely it's me that should be tending to you. I am the doctor after all, and you seem to have taken a much worse beating than I have. But I am an orc and used to it, I reply. Now let me look at you. I would not dare argue with the chieftain, she says. Pulling up a chair alongside her, I offer a wry smile. I should think not. When she looks at me, my heart almost melts. She's more beautiful than ever, her strength and resilience shining through as she jokes with me. I knew she had become dear to me, but until I saw her on the ground surrounded by my clan members that were hitting and kicking at her, I never knew how dear. The pain in my heart at that moment was more than any I had felt before, so much so I feared we may both meet our deaths. I've fallen in love with her, a human, a brave, beautiful, intelligent, and caring human. I get up to collect some water from the bowl and a cloth to wipe away the blood from her face. Her skin is red and grazed, but there is no real damage that I can see, though she winces when I touch her. Are you sure you are okay? I inquire. More than sure, she says, though my back is painful from a kick I took. I bristle, not wanting to think about someone even daring to place their foot on her in such a way. Let me look. She turns and I gently lift her tunic. When I see the blackened flesh, I have to swallow my rage and instead focus on her and what she needs. I reach out and place my hand over her injuries, feeling the hot, damaged tissues and wishing I could take the bruises away from her. She stills as I hold my hand on her back, and for a moment we both sit there, skin against skin. My hand almost spans the width of her back, and it is a wonder she has only suffered bruising at the hands, or rather feet, of my clan members. I do not want to break the contact, wanting to be close to her, to feel her beneath my hand, but cannot prolong this forever, as much as I would like to. Finally, I break the silence. You are badly bruised. Is there anything I can do to help you? I thought as much, she says in a small voice that is almost a whisper. There is a poultice that I made that you could use. It will help with the swelling. It's the thick green mixture. Of course, I say, getting up and gathering what she needs. She's been busy, I see, from the various bowls of substances by the window. Shall I ask when I sit back beside her. If you wouldn't mind, she says softly, pulling up her tunic again. Taking the pungent, greasy paste, I press it gently onto her skin. Her breath hitches at my touch. Am I hurting you? No, she says, almost breathlessly. I rub the paste into her skin, taking care to be as gentle as I can with my huge hands. She is so small, and I am like a monster against her. This difference between us has become suddenly apparent to me now that I feel the way that I do about her. What if we are not compatible physically? Could she ever consider an orc like me? If I think too much about it, I will surely talk myself out of it. I see to it that the bruises are completely covered. Do I need to do anything else? No, the mixture will do its job, thank you. She pulls down her tunic and turns slowly to face me. Her skin is flushed, and she almost avoids my eyes with hers. If things don't work out as chieftain, you would make a good medic, she says to lighten the situation. I smile and know that I would look after this woman every day for the rest of my life. Protect her, make sure that she is safe and happy. No one would ever harm her again. I did not have the opportunity to ask you your opinion in front of the crowd earlier, I explain, but I am asking you now. Lisa, will you be my mate?
Chapter 22. Lisa. While he and Isa had been talking, Romaya had come to me concerned for my welfare, but also excited that we had been declared mates. It's not a term that I am familiar with, not knowing if it's a partnership or something more physical. It was obvious that she was as surprised as I was to hear of his intentions, but she was also pleased, excited even, that he had chosen me, and that I would get to remain here with them. She loves Akida as a brother, and made it clear that she would welcome me as a sister. And so I now know that to mate means forever, and a new and beautiful excitement runs through me. But I need to know what this means for us, and why he has chosen to mate with a human, especially given the way we are viewed in this clan. He is a chieftain now, and surely he wants to endear his subordinates to him, not rile them. With me by his side, it could jeopardize his authority and new position. And if we bear children, then how would this clan feel about them being half-human? Would we even be able to bear children? There have been rumours from across the continent that some humans and orcs have reproduced successfully, but as yet they are just rumours. We have never known anything near our bunker, and beyond that has pointed to this being true, and if it were then, our settlement would be light years away from doing such a thing. And would I even want to have children? It's not something I've ever even considered. My life is my work, and I had planned on serving others in the best way that I know how. It was my purpose, is my purpose. Children were never a part of that plan, even if there were many men back at the bunker that would want it to be. I've always been determined to follow my own course in this life, undeterred by what may be expected of me from others. Would mating with Akida change that? But I'm here now, having not just been driven by my bunker and exiled, but pursued with the intent of being eradicated altogether. There can be no going back, and so the only way I have is forwards. As he looks to me, his question hanging in the air between us, I see a conflict inside him, though I'm not sure what it is. His face is serious, yet there's a yearning behind those wise grey eyes. Why would you choose me, Akida? There is a moment's silence as he thinks upon his answer. I have promised that I will protect you, and now I have made those intentions clear to the clan. A wave of disappointment floods me. I'd hoped to hear something different to this, that maybe he felt a little as I do. But that doesn't seem to be case. He is honouring a commitment, and that is all that his proposal is. I'm more than grateful to you, Akida. You've been nothing but caring, considerate and honourable. But I am not your responsibility, and neither do I want to be. I am used to looking out for myself. You are not in a position to do that now. There's no way you can return to your bunker and would not survive out there alone. And as far as I know, there are no other human settlements nearby that you can seek sanctuary with. I know, but still. You are here now, and I am the chieftain. It is not what either of us expected, but at least now as the leader I can keep you safe. You have just seen how the clan have reacted to you. He shudders, and his voice lowers. It does not bear thinking about what could have happened to you if I had not intervened. As much as I don't want to admit it, he is right. As the chieftain, I can keep you safe, if you are my mate. But if you were to remain here without that rank, it would be impossible for me to do so. There will be times when I will be gone, and I cannot guarantee that danger would not befall you. There are many here that would. He trails off, not wanting to finish that sentence, but I guess where he is going with it. My point is, Lisa, that no orc would dare touch the mate of a chieftain. If you agree to being my mate, then I will always be there for you, whether I am by your side or not. It's an impossible decision to make. I've never even considered anything more serious than some brief moments of intimacy back at the bunker, let alone this marriage of sorts. I've chosen to dedicate my life to medicine and to saving lives. If I remain here, will I ever even see anything human again? What will be expected of me, and how will I continue my life's work? There are no other medics here, just a healer whose magic is all but useless. I can't let everything that I've learnt and built over the years go to waste. I will need to think about it, I say. His silence is deafening, and I can feel the disappointment in him. But I don't want to make a decision that I will regret. After a few moments he stands, marching across the cabin as I watch, my heart breaking for him once again. I don't want to agree to something that will not allow him to live happily and freely either. He has been through so much struggle and hardship, and finally has the chance to forge a new life for himself. A better life, free of the constraints of his father and brothers. He deserves more, not to be beholden to me for the rest of my days. I want him to have a chance at being content and happy, to feel love and to be loved. He's a deep and sensitive man, and he will need to honour those parts of him. It's not the course that I thought my life would take, but it would make me happy to be by his side. But I know that I don't want to be a mate, to have a lifelong partnership that is merely built on obligation. What if we were to end up resenting each other because of it? I have no illusions about what life could be like out there alone, but I would rather take my chances than live a life that it not meant for me. So many questions and scenarios race through my mind, and yet as I watch him walk away, his touch still lingering on my skin, there is no question about how I feel about him. I've never felt this way before, and never could have imagined that I would. Akida has buried himself deep under my skin, and the thought of being without him is gut-wrenching. I want more of him, all of him. I want to know what else rests in his heart, and what kind of leader he will become. I want to know how it would feel to wake up next to him, his arms around me and his skin warming mine. It isn't him that makes me wary of accepting his proposal, but the situation. I would say yes, 100 times over, if I knew the reason he asked me was based more on his feelings for me rather than his obligation to protect me. He is a decent and honourable orc, I acknowledge that. But I know now more than ever that if I am to be with him, then I want his heart, as he now has mine.
Chapter 23. Akita. When I arrive at my father's residence, I find 2 guards at the door. They stand aside as I make to enter, the first time that I have not needed to be announced, because this is the chieftain's residence and I am now him. When I enter, it is almost as if it is a different place. It is eerily silent, no bellowing voices or thudding of boots. The silence is a reminder that they are gone, and that I am the only one left of the men in my family. As instructed, my father's and brother's bodies have been removed and are being prepared for the burning ceremony that will take place tomorrow. This house will now be mine, and I hope beyond hope that Lisa will be here alongside me. But her reaction to my proposal, though not an outright refusal, has not filled me with confidence. What I will do if she does not accept is beyond me. I hold so much love for her inside me, I'm afraid I may burst. I want her by my side, more than I have wanted anything in my life. More than this position I now find myself in, or the approval and love of my father and brothers. She has turned my world upside down, taking me to places inside of myself that I did not know even existed. But I cannot make her want me back, and there is no way I can protect her here if she does not say yes. Though I am aching inside for her, her safety is the most important thing. I will work and then rest here today to give her the time that she needs to make her decision, already missing her and wishing she were near. The sound of the horn wakes me before Guzman rushes into the house where I have slept in the chair, next to the fire. "Chief, quickly, you are needed!" I jump to my feet, quickly coming to life when I sense the urgency from him. "What is it?" "We are under attack. There are orcs at our borders." What do you mean? Who is it? Though as soon as I've said the words, it comes to me. The ones that killed my father and brothers. Yes, says Guzman, the anger on his face growing. They claim themselves to be the Cutthroat Clan. They have traveled across the continent, raiding and killing other clans and taking over their strongholds. Bile rises to my throat as I remember the severed necks of my brothers. These are orcs of the most brutal kind. I cannot allow them to get close to this stronghold. They will not take my land or my people, and they will certainly not take her. What is the situation? They are waiting, Chief. Waiting? They have heard that our leader is dead. But he is not, I say sternly. They are willing to accept an immediate surrender without the necessary bloodshed. But that does not make sense. They are obviously more than willing to shed blood and are adept at it. I agree. It is more than likely a trap. Gather half of the men. We will ride to the borders and settle this. You will remain here with the other half just in case this is indeed a ruse and they are lying in wait. He makes to offer an opinion but must know that I am right. These orcs cannot be trusted and have already ambushed us before. Had my father seen them coming, I would bet my life he could have stopped them. In no time the Hokeens bring us to where the so-called Cutthroat Clan have gathered. Their numbers are similar to ours, and I know we would stand a decent chance. As we get closer, I see they are different to us, smaller, leaner. They wear a band of red across their necks, and their hair is cropped to the scalp. I can tell they have speed and lightness of foot on their side. This is their advantage, and what makes them good at what they do. Sneaking up on others and draining the life from their bodies before they have a chance to defend themselves. There can be no honor in that. I am Akita, chieftain of the Golden Arrow Clan. You are not welcome here. A taller, lean one steps forward. There is a red dot in the center of his forehead, and bands across his biceps as well as his neck. I am Gora, chieftain of the Cutthroat Clan, and I have come to take what is mine. Fire burns in my belly. You have taken enough. You mean the chieftain? I am the chieftain, Akida, son of Uzziah. And if you think you can take what is mine, then I challenge you to wrest it from me, just me and you. Gora eyes me pensively. So be it, Akida. You will soon get to see your father again. I refuse to rise to his words. This is the first challenge that I have taken for my clan, and it is my duty to ensure that I win. To the death? He asks. To the death, I confirm, jumping down from my mount. The ground is prepared, and we face each other, dropping our weapons, and it is I that makes the first move, charging at him as he races to meet me. We clash, and he is stronger than I expected, his smaller body agile and effective. My fist finds his jaw, and he crashes to the ground more easily than most, but his agility means that he is up and behind me before I have chance to land any more blows on him. We continue in this way, me hitting or throwing him to the ground while he springs up, and it is like grappling with a wild animal. When I send a kick to his guts, he flies back, landing on his feet somehow, but winded from the force, I can tell. You are strong, but not as strong as your father, he sneers, the blood staining his yellow teeth. And he fell in the end. I am not my father. No, you are not. But you will soon be with him. If you say so, Gora, but words mean nothing unless they are backed by action. This riles him, his face twisting in a manner so ugly it sickens even me, a fellow orc. I smile and wait for him to advance this time. I will stand my ground, my stronghold behind me. Wise words, Akita. But it takes more than words win a battle. He reaches down to his boot, and I'm suddenly aware that I have mistaken his acceptance of a duel as some mark that he is honorable. He is not, and the speed at which the dagger he throws is alarming. Instinctively I twist, and it lands in my shoulder, missing its intended target, my heart. His face is momentarily stricken. He's not used to missing. I march towards him as he steps back, my face a grimace, but he grins and reaches down to his other boot while I pull his dagger from my flesh. Now we both have a weapon, I growl. But can you use it as well as me? He snarls, drawing out another blade. He runs at me, somehow rolling his body around me until he is behind me again, driving my fury up a notch. Then I feel him on my back, and I am ready for him, knowing exactly what he will do as I feel him reach for my neck, ready to slash at it. I bite at his arm and throw him over my shoulder, and he lands on the ground with a thud. He's still for a moment, his groans telling me I have some time. I leave him there and drop his blade on his chest before striding over to my men. "This is my weapon," I say as he attempts to jump to his feet. My arrow spears his knife-wielding hand, and he screams as I quickly knock another in my bow and aim for the red circle in the center of his head. Behind me, my men stir, but just as I am about to end this, I feel a quick, sharp pain in my chest, and I join my enemy on the ground. Chapter 24. Akida. Chaos ensues, my men charging at the cutthroats when they see me fall to the ground. Strong hands pull me from the heart of it, but I am eager to be useful and involved. As an experienced bowman, I know the arrow that now rests in my chest is likely to kill me if I am not relieved of it, but all I can think of is saving my stronghold, my family, and Lisa. "Chief, wait here!" one of my men yells as he pushes me backwards. He beckons others to come and shield me, which they do, dragging me away and surrounding me as the enemy attacks. The Hokeens race to defend us, throwing enemy orcs aside, their tusks penetrating their skin and their teeth tearing at their flesh. As they do, the beasts of the enemy join them in battle, and there is the almighty sound of snarls and yelps as they clash, adding to the roars and battle cries of the men. I look around at the chaos before me. The line is a mess. We have not yet had a chance to discuss strategies in battle. But the enemy know this. They have taken a chieftain and chosen to attack his stronghold before the new one has even had a chance to draw breath. This is their strategy, and I cannot let it win. I grab the nearest of my men that I can. 20 men. I need you to gather them and hold back with their bows. He looks back up at me, and I hope I'm making sense to him and that he has understood me. Do not push forward with me. 20. Hold back. "Yes, Chief," he says, leaving me to do as I ask. "Akida." My name is being roared up into the sky, and I can hear it above all the din. "Gora, there is no time to waste. I am a chieftain, and he is coming for me. I will not let him have the last of Uzziah's blood." Taking a deep and heavy breath, I know what I must do. The arrow is in deep, and will need to stay where it is to avoid blood loss. I snap it as low down as I can, roaring as it presses at my raw and tender flesh. As I look at the yellow feathers of the arrow that are now flecked with blood, the grim irony of the situation draws a wry, dark laugh from me. Shot in the chest by my father's arrow, but once again my heart has been missed. His bow never returned with him, and now I know why. Uzziah's arrow is now lodged deep in my chest. I rise, pushing past the men that shield me and urge them forward. "Take them! Every last one!" I cry. The pain eats me alive, but I will not rest until the men that killed my father and now threaten my home are defeated. Not one of these creatures will be left alive. However many strongholds they have taken, they will never take mine. My men surge past me, slicing through the cutthroats with their halberds and spears. "Take none alive," I roar. The cries are deafening, the crash of bodies, the screams from orcs that lay dying amongst us. I see many with their throats cut, their blood soaking into the ground like heavy rain. But my men do not stop, and neither do I. I follow the angry cry of my name, determined that I will send this orc to his death. Gora will not threaten this or any other clan again. It is because of orcs like him that so many of our kind are motivated by fear and threat. We do not need to threaten each other or take each other's homes. This world is plenty big enough for us all to live comfortably. Haven't we all suffered enough because of the dark elves and each other? I am determined to live to change this. This is my chance to see to it that that one orc clan at least is able to change its ways, living and learning and raising families. What point is there to all of this if we cannot enjoy the time we are here? In the distance, past the cracking of skulls and slashing of throats, I can see my target, his body stained with blood, and his arm hanging limply at his side. In his other, I see what he carries. As if he has felt my eyes upon him, his own settle on me. Time stands still as we gaze at each other across the battlefield. He smiles and holds my father's bow up and into the air, as if already claiming victory. "Is this what you seek?" he cries. He knows it is exactly what I seek. That and the end to this clan of beasts. We step towards each other and my heart pounds in my chest, hard and heavy. The pain from my wound threatens to claim me, but I will not let it. Not until I've ended this. He is heavy on his feet now, the agility that he has so far displayed waning due to his injuries. His hand is little more than a bloody mess, the arrow having speared him when his fist was grasping his weapon. Since then it has been pulled out, and I know the way this will have affected him. No longer will he find it easy to draw a dagger across a throat. Not unless he becomes adept at using his other hand. We stagger towards each other, two wounded chieftains desperate for the win. I pick up a spear from a fallen comrade and toss it at him. He twists, and it flies past him and into the head of one of his own. I do it again, picking up another from the ground, throw it, and his body is thrown back as the spear plummets into his shoulder. He drops the bow and draws out the weapon, his face so racked with pain. I'm sure he can never recover from this. But he runs slower than he did before, but faster than I can manage with the injury to my chest. He shouts at his men to retreat, and I shout the same to my own. "Fall back! Fall back! Everybody back!" Scores of orc warriors race over the landscape in opposite directions, the cutthroats scurrying like ants away from the direction of my stronghold. Once I am happy that my men are in a safe enough position, I shout my next command. "Archers, now!" Then I wait, for the familiar silence that hangs in the air before the rain of arrows with their golden hue fly over my head. There is the ominous few seconds before they land, but I know my men will have judged this well. It is what they do best. The figures in the distance drop to the ground, the lucky ones that are able to escape stumbling as we assault them with our bows. Silently I watch as I claim my first battle, my breathing ragged and my body heavy. I pick up my father's bow and hold it up into the air, my men roaring behind me. No clan will threaten us in this way again, and if they do, they can expect the same reaction. I am Akida, chieftain of the Golden Arrow clan, and will do everything I can to remain so. But as the darkness seeps into the corners of my eyes, I know that I am waning. My head spins and my body sways, and I drop to my knees to steady myself. The only thing I can see in my mind is her face. I would do anything to see it again, just one more time. One final glance, before the darkness takes me.
Chapter 25. Lisa. I've paced the floors of the cabin for the last few hours, my heart in my mouth and my head tortured with thoughts of what may be happening. I press my hands into my stomach in a futile attempt to rid it of the churning, but nothing helps. Eza is being comforted by Ramaya, and I have told her to keep her as calm as she can for the benefit of her own health. What good is that advice? He is her son. They are both fearful for Akida's life, as am I. Guards have been posted around our cabin. As the chieftain's declared mate, it seems I am now on the other side of their attentions. Just yesterday I was about to be beaten within an inch of life. How things change. "Is there any news?" says Ramaya, emerging from Iza's room. "Nothing," I reply. "How is she holding up?" "I have given her some of the tea you prepared, and it has helped to calm her. She's just fallen asleep." "Good. She needs it. The more she sleeps, the less of this torture she needs to endure." "Do you think they will be okay?" she asks. "It is just that he is so new to the leadership and has had no time to settle in." Her words do little to calm my already fried nerves. I manage a tight smile, but that is all. More than anything, I wish we had not parted the way we did, but I was not expecting him not to return last night, and would never have thought he would be called away to battle like this. But he is a chieftain now, And if he returns, and I hope more than anything that he does, and I accept his proposal, this will be the way of things. For the longest time we have managed to avoid such battles, she says. We don't go further than we need and keep ourselves out of quarrels with other clans. Who would do this and why? Who knows? Who knows how this world works anymore? There seems to be no rhyme or reason to the madness that we are subjected to. It's almost enough to destroy you. We sit at the table in silence for a while, sipping at the tea that was also given to Isa. The herbs I used are supposed to help ease anxiety, but nothing can take this away. Not until we know what is happening. Eventually, there is a knock at the door, and we both rush to answer it. Guzman, is there news? Romaya asks impatiently when she sees him standing there. Yes, they have returned, and they have done so the victors. The stronghold is safe, and it is because of our new chieftain. I finally feel as though I can breathe again, and the same relief hits Romaya. But there is something that I need to tell you also. Chief Akida has been badly wounded. He has been taken to the chieftain's residence. How badly? I cry. An arrow to the chest, he says, his face solemn. But he is breathing and is not losing too much blood. I must go to him, immediately, I say, pushing past the huge orc. Take me to him. It is not a place for females. The shaman is with him. Not a place for females? What nonsense is this? Do you know how many people I have treated and saved? Now you will take me to him so that I can assess his trauma. The shocked orc relents, giving a small nod of his head. Of course. We race to the residence where he rests, the place where his father and brothers died such a short time ago. But I can't think like that now. I need to keep my head. When we get there, I am led to his bedside, the sight of him tearing me in two. He is unconscious, his green skin pale and heavily marked with blood and gaping wounds. But it's the oozing hole in his chest from which an arrow protrudes that catches my gaze. The shaman looks at me as if I have two heads, as if seeing a human female in such a situation is committing heresy of some kind. Are you using magic to heal him? I ask. He shakes his head. Whatever we have left is not strong enough for this. I have already made up my mind that I will be the one looking after Akida, but he is the chieftain after all, and I need to show some respect for their customs and concerns. I am a doctor, a healer as you would say. I do not use magic, but I may be able to help him. The shaman looks at me, his eyes narrowed. And how do I know I can trust you, human? This is our new chieftain. I cannot let just anyone near him. I am not just anyone. I am to be his mate, and I am a doctor. Now please let me look at my mate, our chieftain. You are a shaman, are you not? Can you not sense the intention with which I act? My words land upon him, and his eyes narrow further. Very well. If you are, as you say, a healer, then I will do anything I can to assist you in helping Chief Akida. I let out a deep breath. Thank you. First, I will need to assess his organs for damage, and then we will need to remove this arrow. But if you do that, he could bleed to death, which is why I will need the following. I reel out a list of things that I will need to perform the surgery on Akida, hoping that they will be able to provide me with these basics. Water, twine, needles, the smallest, sharpest blades, a heat source, the tinctures and poultices that are at his cabin, everything I can lay my hands on to make sure that this is successful. Before I cut into him, I have to steady my shaking hand. I have never had to perform like this before on someone that I care for. It has given me a different perspective on what I do, how the loved ones of my patients must feel as I and the other medics work on them. The shaman watches me, along with Guzman, as I dig out the arrow, cauterizing the wound, cleaning, mopping, sewing. I explain as much as I can, as I work, step by step. Partly to convince myself that I am doing this in the correct way, partly to justify to them what I am doing and why to their chieftain so that they can trust me, and partly to impart some of my knowledge to them It is done, I say, when I finally finish packing his wound and wrapping it tightly with a makeshift bandage. I have never worked on an orc before, a body this large, and that along with the emotion of it has drained me. The shaman holds his hand over Akida's head and closes his eyes. He whispers words that I don't understand and then nods at me when he opens them again. I would like to sit with my mate for a while if that would be okay, I ask, feeling the tears behind my eyes that are bursting to be released. The shaman and Guzman allow me my request, and once the door is closed, the floodgates open as molten tears stream down my cheeks. I take his large hand in mine and press it to my lips, desperate to be in its hold again. Then I lean over and kiss his still lips. Please wake up, Akida. I am begging you. Please come back to me. I love you.
Chapter 26. Akita. I have been granted my final wish, I think, as I look up into her eyes. They look tired and swollen, and her skin is even paler than usual. But still, it is her. Where am I? Akita, she says softly as tears roll down her beautiful face. Akita. A part of me wonders whether I have died, and this is some cruel trick. A figment of a dying mind as it leaves its body. Images flick through my mind. The cries of dying men, the flight of arrows, a deep and searing pain worse than any other I've known. It's okay. I am here with you. The arrow has been successfully removed, and you are at your father's residence. Your residence. I look around and see she is right. It's not a dream or figment. I recognize the spacious room and the view from the window ahead. When she kisses me, her lips soft as petals on mine, I know this is real. And yet it gets stranger, and I am scared to believe it, because to experience this and then have it ripped away would be the greatest torture yet. I love you, she says. I love you so much. What? We've all been waiting for you to wake. Isa and Romaya are well but anxious. The clan has been saved, and you are the one that has done it. You were made to be a leader. My mother as well? She is, but she'll be much better when she knows that you are awake. How am I alive? Her hand brushes my cheek. I have worked on you, dug out the arrow and treated your wound, while the shaman has watched over you too. And now you are back, and I can hardly believe it. Thank you, I say, grateful and in awe of this wonderful woman. I'm so sorry for the way that we parted. I know you cannot love me back, but I will be your mate even if it is for the reasons that you gave me. I just wanted you to come back to me. To all of us. We've all waited for you. There is no way I would let you go. Let you leave me, she says through her tears. I'm not sure if I'm more shocked to be alive or by what she is saying to me. She thinks I do not love her. And she is saying yes. She is saying yes. My body is tired and heavy, and there is a definite sting in my chest, but nothing like it was the last time I felt it. Could it be that she has healed me? My clever, beautiful Lisa. Of course she has. She has healed me with her own gifts, not of magic, but of knowledge, skill, and compassion. And deep down there is a determination in her that matches my own. There is not a moment that goes by when she does not surprise me in some way. I am forever indebted to her for what she has given me and my family. She has given both myself and my mother the gift of life, and I will never forget it. The thought that she will now be my mate lands on my heart, and I am overjoyed. I got to see her face again, and now I will get to see it for the rest of our lives. Every morning when I wake up next to her, and I will cherish and be grateful for every single moment that I get to spend with her. Her hair is tied back, loose golden strands falling from her temples that I tuck behind her ear before kissing her back, never happier than I am in this moment. I am careful with her, not wanting to pierce her with my tusks, but her face is so small and her mouth fits beautifully between them. Tears land on my face. I would take them all for her, wipe them away, mop them up with my own skin. I would do anything for this woman. I would protect her and die for her. But at the moment, hearing her say these things, I want to live for her. Lisa, how could you think I do not love you? I ask. She looks back at me, confused, and I wonder how I could have got this so wrong. I told her how I wanted to protect her and ensure her safety at all times. There's nothing more important to me. The love that has grown for you in my heart is beyond anything you can imagine. I may have spoken in a way that did not let you know this. I am sorry. You have nothing to be sorry for, Akida. She strokes my face, and I collect the rest of her tears with my finger. Just be well. But how could you think such a thing? You feel obligated to protect me, I know that. But I didn't want to just be an obligation to you. I wanted you to love me, as I love you. But I do. More than she can know. Having nearly lost you, it's become less important to me. Having you here, being with you, that was what I wanted. More than anything. You could have died, Akita, and it's shown me what it is I really want. Lisa, it breaks me in two to hear you talk like this, to think I may have died without you knowing what you mean to me. I love you, and you were never just an obligation. You were everything. My foolish orc ways have led you to believe that protection was my main motivation for asking you to be my mate. And in a way, it was. I stop, trying to explain to her what it means to take a mate. This is where the differences between our species become apparent. Shh. There is no need to explain. Save your strength to get well again. And besides, I've become very fond of your orc ways, she says, smiling. But I must explain myself, I insist. I understand that when humans take a life partner or marry, then it is for reasons of love. And that isn't so different from us orcs either. But we are orcs, and mate bonding is something based not just on love, but the raw and overwhelming need to protect the other. She looks at me with soft yet narrowed eyes, as if she is beginning to comprehend what I am saying to her. This has been a clash of cultures, a break in the understanding of what motivates us. But we are not so different underneath it all. I get it, she says. I mean, I don't completely understand, but I see that I've misunderstood you and your feelings. She kisses me again, and it is like the sun rising after a winter of rain. And so you still agree to be my mate? I ask. I do, if you will have me. Oh, I will have you, I say, pulling her close. Akita Valun, you haven't yet risen from your sickbed and already you're making moves on me, she says, laughing. Your position has already gone to your head. It is unlike me. I would never have said such a thing to her or any woman before. Maybe it is the pain, the events of the last few days, or the fact that I'm a chieftain now. But I am different, lighter somehow, yet more firmly rooted in myself. When I laugh with her, the pain in my chest returns, but I would withstand 1,000 arrows to the chest to be with her like this. I will have you, protect you, love you. You are everything to me, and I will never be without you. She wraps her arms around my shoulders and rests her face on mine. I have woken today, and the world is a better place, a different place, all because of her.
Chapter 27. Lisa. It has been 6 days, and I am happy that he will be fully recovered before the week is out. I have learned a lot about the healing capabilities of orcs over the last few days, and am impressed with his progress, but that is the doctor in me speaking. As his mate-to-be, there is just relief, excitement, and a growing love that I am finally able to express. Because I love this man, this orc, and can't wait for us to spend our days together in happier ways. That's not to say that I don't enjoy taking care of them, though. Seeing him each day as the colour returns to him and his face brightens whenever I walk into the room is enough for me, after going through the excruciating torture of thinking I might lose him. Despite my protestations, he has still held meetings with Guzman and the elders at his bedside. I've voiced my concerns clearly, and yet I know this is the way they do things, and how it will be once we are together. Akida is a chieftain now, one that has many ideas and hopes the future of this clan. We've spoken about some of these privately, such as our plans for the clan to learn about basic medical care and to start a program for the medics of the future. He's shared with me his hopes for bringing peace between the clans and how he can, with my help also, integrate with humans. There's much to get on with, and I know he's eager to get started properly once he is away from this bed. It's time to change the dressings, I say, walking into the room. Guzman and 2 of the elders stand back from the bed and nod at Akida and then at me. Of course, says Guzman. That is everything, Chief. We hope for news from the Crimson Axes within the next day or so. Until then, we will continue with your instructions and will report back tomorrow. Very well, thank you, says Akida, who is sat up in bed despite my telling him not to. Until tomorrow both, says Guzman. Thank you, Guzman, I reply, closing the door behind them. The negotiations are going well, he says. Diplomacy, it seems, is something that orcs are capable of. I didn't doubt it, I say. Now let me take a look at the dressing. Yes, doctor, he says, teasing me. You think you are funny? I reply with a smirk. I have learnt it from you, he says. Pursing my lips as I try not give away the smile underneath, I am struck by how much he has changed recently. He is still the serious and pragmatic man that I fell in love with, but whatever burdens he was carrying have lifted and released a joy that had been shackled. He watches me intently in silence as I tend to him, checking his vitals and preparing the new dressing. You know I am feeling well enough now, he says, in a return to the more serious side of him. I know, you've healed well, but we have to be sure. He has healed remarkably well and quickly, and something about it makes me feel uneasy, as if it is just too good to be true. There are still some things that are hard to get used to. He says nothing, and I know it's because he trusts and respects me and my judgment. Take a deep breath in, I say, my ear close to his chest. He does as I ask, and I can hear nothing other than the large and healthy whoosh of air and the beating of a heart so big I can hear it without the need for an instrument. You're doing great, I say, smiling. I would expect nothing else being treated by you. Smiling, I peel the dressing from his wound. Any more pain? No, nothing. Even though you are sitting up, I ask, chastising him with the raise of an eyebrow. Lisa, please believe me. I feel as strong as a hokin. Whatever you have done has healed me completely. I am ready to leave this room and this bed now. I would not say this if it was not true. I am a chieftain and need to be healthy for you and my people. I would never jeopardize that. I take the dressing from his wound and am shocked to see that it has almost healed. I know you wouldn't. I'm just scared. There is nothing to be scared of. You are used to treating humans, but I am not a human. I am strong and heal quickly, and it is because of you. I know. It's time to believe that it will be okay, that we can get on with building our new life, together. His words comfort and thrill me. I can't wait to do this with him. There is so much to look forward to. You do not need another dressing, I say, giving in to his words, taking a leap of faith that it will be good, as he says it will be. He smiles and takes my face in his hands. Thank you for everything. It's time to live our lives at last. His eyes are so full of love I could lose myself in them. I melt into his touch and sit there for a moment, enjoying this feeling. And the first thing I intend to do is take you as my mate. We will have the ceremony as soon as it is possible. If you agree, of course, he says. I would like that too. Then it is agreed. I take the old dressing from him. It is time for this to go, I say, getting up and taking it to the table across the room. Just a healing balm from now on, and you will be done. I collect the jar and walk back to him, feeling his eyes on me every single second. When I get to the bed, I stumble and land on him, terrified that I have fallen on his wound. But when I look up, all I see are deep, grey eyes and a smile on his face. "I told you, I am recovered," he says as he senses my concern. "See?" His arms sweep under me and he lifts me so that I am resting on top of him. His breath is hot and wanting, and I am aching for him to touch me. "Kiss me," I say, as he smiles and takes me by the back of the head, his hand wrapped in my hair. When our mouths meet, I am desperate for him, moaning as his tongue slips into me. I've longed for this moment and wrap my arms tightly around him, not wanting to let him go. He groans beneath me as I match him, stroke for stroke with my tongue, desperate to discover him, savouring the heady, musky scent and taste of him. I pull back only to taste more of him, running my fingers over his pristine, thick tusks before trailing my tongue up and down them. Beneath me he is so hard I can feel him through the thick covers. I shouldn't be shocked by the hard, thick length of him, but I am, even though I can't wait to lay eyes and hands on his orc-sized erection. "Lisa," he groans, his voice deep and husky before he pulls me off him, placing me gently on the bed and then rolling over to look down on me. "I told you I was well." I smile and reach up to him, desperate to feel his mouth against mine again. I feel swamped by his size, completely overtaken by him, and it is glorious. His tongue trails along my jawline, and my sex clenches in response. He is my orc, my huge, beautiful orc, and I need him. All of him.
Chapter 28. Akida. I have been eager to recover for this alone, to finally know what it feels like to run my tongue along her skin, to know what she tastes like, from her head to her toes. And now that I'm able to, it is more than worth the wait. She is ready and wanting beneath me, her breathing quick and deep and her blood heating. But now that I have her below me, I'm reminded of how small she really is, beautiful and delicate. "Do you want me?" I ask, before dragging my tongue along her collarbone. "Yes," she breathes as I continue my trail. "My God, how are you doing that?" It may seem strange to her, though she is obviously enjoying it, because I have to taste her, lay my claim to her. It is a major part of our mate bonding, and why orcs' tongues are made for such a job. "It is time I educated you for a change on anatomical matters," I say. "Please do." I smile against her skin and run my tongue in one long, slow sweep up to her chin before taking her mouth. Her taste has changed as her arousal grows, becomes sweeter, with more depth and flavor. "You are wearing too many clothes," I say, breaking the kiss and pulling the layers over her head. "Sorry for the interruption. I know you were gearing up for a steamy scene, but it's way too hot for YouTube. To get the full, unabridged audiobook, go to worldsofprothika.com and use code YouTube30 for a 30% discount on all digital products. You're listening to Orc's Pet by Celeste King.
Chapter 29. Lisa. "You are sure you are ready for this?" asks James as he prepares to lead me to the meeting hall. "More than sure," I say, smiling, "because the last 3 months have been the best of my life. I am so glad you're here. I wouldn't miss it for the world. You are like a daughter to me, Lisa. I'm proud of the woman you've become and proud to lead you to the ceremony today. Thank you for everything, for taking care of me and teaching me, for giving me a home." "No need for thanks, my dear. It was my pleasure. I am excited for the life you'll have here and for the things that we will do together as we bring our medical skills to the clan." "Me too. It can only be a good thing, right?" "Let us hope so. This world has seen enough of suffering and disunity." "They are ready for you," says Romaya, appearing at the chamber door. "Oh, Lisa, you look more beautiful than ever." She looks me over. I am wearing a green satin gown, my hair loose and flowing except for 2 sections from the front that are tied together at my nape. Into them, I have tucked yellow flowers. Thanks, Ro. I am nervous, though. No need, she says. The ceremony is short and involves only a few steps, like I said. It is the time before and after that is important when forging a mate bond. This is merely a formality. Then let us seal this deal, says James. I could not wish for a better partner for you than Akida. You are made for each other. They are, Romya agrees. And both Isa and I could not be happier for the two of you, so it is time to make this union official. We head over to the meeting hall, the pathways lined with clan members and friends from my bunker, who throw yellow petals before me as I walk to meet my mate. They will never know how much seeing them together like this fills my already bursting heart. At the doorway are Isa and Ramaya. I stop and embrace them both before I enter. Inside, the elders are gathered in a circle, and they part to reveal Akida, dressed in his ceremonial attire when I walk in. His jaw slackens when he sees me, his eyes raking me from head to toe. I am led to the centre to join him, as James closes the circle for us and takes his place there. The words that we speak to each other are of love and loyalty, friendship and trust. There is no man on earth who could ever make me feel the way he does, and no doubt in my mind as we seal our union. Once the ceremony is over, Akida leads me back to his home, cheered by the crowd. There is no ceremony reception here, though the clan and my friends from the bunker will eat, drink and dance together. The mating ceremony is sealed with immediate consummation, a somewhat different but welcome tradition that I'm happy to follow. Are you happy? Akida asks as he opens the door to the chieftain's residence. I am more than happy, Akida. I have this clan, and those I care about all together, but most of all I have you, the love of my life, for the rest of my life. All I want is to love you, protect you, and make you happy, he says. And yet you lead me to the bedchamber, I tease. I have not laid hands on you for you 10 moons, he says. And has it worked? I ask. It is still me that you want. I know the answer, of course, that the 10 nights that we have spent apart before the mating ceremony, meant to test the solidarity of a mate bond, has sealed his love for me. I think you have worked that out for yourself, Lisa. He kicks the door behind us and stands back to look at me. This colour suits you. Yes, green suits me very well. In fact, it has become my favourite colour. I am very glad to hear it. You know, I am not sure if I want to stare at you for the rest of the day in that dress or tear it from you. Stepping towards him, I watch as his eyes roam over the silky material that both hugs and skims my curves. I take his hand and place it over the swell of my breasts. Do whatever you wish, I say. A low, deep growl makes its way from his mouth, and I feel him stiffen in front of me. His hands roam over my body, stroking, palming, squeezing. He turns me and drops to his knees, taking my arse in his hands and kneading, enjoying the feel of the silky fabric against my skin. We will keep the dress, he says, his voice deep and guttural. I would hate to never see you in it again. But now, I would like you out of it. Very well, I say, turning and stepping back, undoing the buttons and letting it drop to the floor. It is my wedding day after all. I am the luckiest orc on the planet, he says, pulling me close to him as he still kneels before me. YouTube won't allow us to post the rest of this spicy scene, so if you want me to describe all the dirty details, you'll have to find the unabridged version of Orc's Pet on worldsofprathika.com. To make up for the inconvenience, use the code YouTube30 for a 30% discount on all digital products, including ebooks and our library of unabridged, uncensored audiobooks. Back to the story.
Chapter 30. Akida. How was the meeting today? Lisa asks as I enter our home and throw myself into the chair. Long and arduous. And you? How was your day? Long and arduous. I have not long returned home myself. We both laugh and I close my eyes when she climbs into my lap. glad be home and close to the woman that I love. It has been 6 months since the mating ceremony, and I have never been happier in my life, even if the weekly meetings with the elders can prove somewhat testing. It went well, though? I ask. What she is doing in her work as clan doctor and medical instructor is taxing but vital. It will take time for the clan to grow in skills and knowledge, but everyone has to start somewhere. Someone must take the first step. It did, but I've always been the student and never the teacher. Certainly makes me appreciate what James has achieved, and I couldn't have done it without his help. He is a great man, and I know you will be just like him. I have every faith that she will achieve what she has set out to do with the medical program. We sit for a while, enjoying being close to each other and the silence after a long day at work. Are you hungry? She asks as the fire crackles. Romaya has cooked for us tonight. She is so thoughtful. She is. I do not know what I would have done without her over the years. I know, she says, and she is like a sister to me now. It warms my heart to hear this, to have a family that I love, and to have my mother well now that she has benefited from Lisa's medical knowledge and is housed in a cabin that is warm and dry. We should eat before we fall asleep in front of this fire. We both have another long day ahead of us tomorrow, she says. I would happily fall asleep here with her in my arms. There is a contentment that rests in me now. My family are safe and well. The clan is thriving. Relations with the humans and other orc clans are positive, and our battle strategies have proven successful. Central to it all is the woman that I now cradle, the one that has rescued me from the depths of desperation and despair. She has made me the happiest man alive, and every day with her is time well spent. You are right, I say. Tomorrow will be another busy day, as will the next and the next, and yet I would not change it for the world. It is everything that I desire, and as chieftain it is what I am made for: progress, hard work, and service. The meal my cousin has prepared is hearty and delicious. We sit, eat, and share stories of our day, a simple daily pleasure that has become a ritual for us. When we are done, I stand and clear away the dishes, seeing that she is tired and needing to retire soon. There is no need, she says. There is every need. She kisses my cheek. In that case, I will draw us a bath. Join me when you're done. I have one more thing to talk to you about. It sounds like the perfect end to a long day to me. Another day that I am grateful to have lived, with her at my side. I finish as quickly as I can, eager to get to the tub after the day I've had. She's almost swamped by the bathtub, and her face is pink and flushed when I go to her. I strip in front of her as she smiles. You are a sight for sore eyes, she says, a look of mischief in her eyes. Will you still say that when I get all fat? She asks. For I am having your child. You're having a child? Ask. Your child, my love, she answers. At that moment, every fiber of my being falls in love with her all over again. I've created life deep within this woman. Now it is time to celebrate. If you want to get in on this celebration, as YouTube can't handle the heat, go to worldsofprothika.com and get your hands on the unabridged audiobook where all of the spice is left intact. If the thought of me whispering all the dirty details into your ear isn't enticing enough, use discount code YouTube30 to get 30% off of all digital products. Story after story, audiobook after audiobook. I'll be there waiting for you. Thank you for listening to Orc's Pet by Celeste King.
I've spent my entire life
The forest is not your safe space, little one.
training to be the perfect bride.
You can run.
There is no avoiding my fate.
I've heard before that sometimes Wera can find one whose blood calls to them.
Blood song, it's called.
You understand why you're being punished, right, child?
It's you. You're the one.
You need to know your place.
I am a bringer of death. I knew nothing but darkness before you, but now I know what it is to bathe in the sun.
Why are you doing this? Where are you taking me?
Where no one will ever find you. will be mine. Forever.